Eminence. Go throw them knees up in the air.
9, 8, 7. We have a go for main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff.
Big screen, I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack. I've been waiting all week for some SFL action. On a big screen, I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack them. Rushing like a bullet into the end zone. Defense, hold up, no scoring in the red zone. Throwing up pick 6, I feel like I'm Josh Rowe. Throwing dimes over the shoulder, think I'm Jack Winmo. I need me back to back, trying to be like Vulture. Cause a storm, cause I'm mighty, it's in the culture. Esports TV, YouTube, Twitch, SFL Live tuning, you don't wanna miss. I've been waiting all week for some SFL action. On a big screen, I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack. I've been waiting all week for some SFL action. On a big screen, I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack them. Next level like my entertainment. NXT on the stream, 8 p.m. on the beat. Catch me on the cam like I'm SFL commish. Yeah, you only got one chance, you can never miss. For the glory, revolution, feel my fury. Cause I'm a legend out in Canton, and I'm playing with dragons. I'm the king of this legion, SFL action, tune in this season. I've been waiting all week for some SFL action. On a big screen, I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak.
What is up, SFL Nation? And welcome back to SFL Nights. Hey, Jay Striker, thank you so much for joining me today or tonight or whenever you decided to hit that play button or turn on that radio dial. Really appreciate it, y'all. And of course, I am joined by Mr. Diggy. Great co-host. Been here for a while. How are you?
Good. Again, like always, glad to be back.
Glad to have you back. Your eyes look a little bit bluer than usual.
I don't know. It says they're hazel, so they change blue, green, or gray.
Nice. That's great. Well, we got a great show planned for you this evening. We're going to go over Week 10 review. We're going to break down a couple of games that we found very interesting. We're going to do our picks for Week 11. And we also have a fantastic hot topic question about the SFLm and how excited should everybody be about the SFLm coming up in probably a couple of weeks. I think it's a couple of weeks. So 4th and Goal interview is a big one. I actually did a coaches and owners only interview, which will feature Dion Hawkins, Axel Raven, Mark Chisolm, Jacob Clear, Jermaine Smith, Andrew Hamilton, Kristian Aleixo, Siemien, Duane Schindler, Eddie Gage, and Bo Martin Jr. So, like I said, it's going to be action-packed. A lot of different opinions. And very interesting. But we're going to start off with Week 10 in review. Okay. So, Week 10 goes as follows. The Houston Headhunters battled the Canton Classics, where Houston won 20-17. London Knights took on the Motor City V8s, where London won 30-17. Mexico City Aztecs battled the Fort Worth Toros, where Fort Worth won 42-28. Alamo City Artillery won their game over the Queen City Corsairs 30-23. The Florida Storm battled the Jacksonville Kings, where Florida was victorious 38-26. Denver Nightwings took on the DC Dragons, where DC won 28-13. San Diego Mavericks took on the Baltimore Vultures, where Baltimore won 43-17. Las Vegas Fury battled the Charleston Predators, where Las Vegas won 30-20. Carolina Skyhawks battled the Arizona Scorpions, where Arizona won 36-31. Sioux Falls Sparrows took on the Indianapolis Ramblers, where Indianapolis won 36-33. And lastly, the Los Angeles Vikings took on the Vancouver Legion, and Vancouver won 43-10. So, Diggy, where are we at with our standings?
Standing-wise, last week I went 10-1 and you went 8-3. So we had some pretty good picks last week. So total out of 105 games, I've got 62 right and you've got 70. So close the gap just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I got much time to catch up there. So.
Got 3 more weeks to do what you're gonna do. Hey, so what game did you find interesting that you want to break down today?
Let's see, where do I have my thing here? Sioux Falls and Indy was a good one. So, defenses were playing well, forcing field goals early until towards the end of the first, when Michael Knight was able to break one for the end zone, give the lead there. Got it 10-3. Indy had a pass tip intercepted by Leahy, who resulted in a touchdown to Jason Williams a couple plays later. That ended the first at like 17-3. The second Indy had continued success with Roosevelt connection. That was a great connection all game. It was crazy. Like I said, he had a good connection there. He had well over 100 yards total for the first half of the game alone, and got Indy a touchdown to make it 17-10. Indianapolis James got an interception, but they failed to kind of capitalize on that. Sioux Falls came back out, and James said, "Hey, let's try this again," and he gets another, and it resulted in a Jay Viper touchdown this time. So they got it tied up at 17 there, and it went into the half, ended up being tied at 20 because they each got a kick. The third was a lot of great passes by both sides, but the defenses held strong, keeping each other to only a field goal in the third. 20 going into the fourth. Indy scored first in the fourth with a field goal to go up by 3 at 26-23. 5 minutes left in the fourth. Black kicked a field goal to tie it up. Indy didn't run a lot, but Pierce found the end zone with the limited amount of opportunities he was given in that game to give Indy the lead with just under 2 minutes left. It was 26-33, and this game truly came down to the wire as Sioux Falls converts on a fourth down, gets it to the 1 yard line, and the next play, Tazares scored a touchdown with a fraction of an inch to spare in the back end of the end zone. Pierce came out calm, cool, and collected, making the plays he needed to set up the rookie Kiefer for a 50-yard game winner. So it was fun all the way around, and just when you thought somebody was maybe a little too far ahead, it was just right back at it. So like I said, that was one of the best ones. There's actually quite a few games like that this week. So
exactly, I was just going to say that it was a bit, people, it's getting more competitive. Coaches are a lot more competitive, I think, this season they have ever been. But one of my games I decided to do was the Florida Storm taking on the Jacksonville Kings. Florida Storm is now 3-6, and Jacksonville is now sitting at 2-7. This is a classic rivalry that stemmed from way back when they were called the Alaska Storm and the Tallahassee Pride. But both of these teams have been struggling this season in particular. I know that there were some coaching changes. I know that there were some things that each team decided they wanted to try to do a little bit differently. And it's been a struggle, to say the least. But with Florida, they had 235 yards passing, 170 yards rushing, and 405 yards total, 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. So they were balanced in that category. Their time of possession was 22 minutes and 38 seconds with 2 turnovers. They scored 7 points in the first quarter, 14 points in the second quarter, 7 points in the third, and 10 in the fourth. For Jacksonville, had 326 yards passing, 137 yards rushing for 463 yards total. They had 2 passing touchdowns, but no rushing. Time of possession was 21 minutes and 16 seconds with 3 mistakes. They scored their points, 10 points in this first quarter, 6 points in the second quarter, 10 points in the third quarter, and nothing else. Florida killed them on third down conversions at 81%, while Jacksonville did have 58%, a little bit over half, but Jacksonville did go for it on fourth down and was able to convert that one. So that's something positive for them. I do have a few shout outs I would like to give. Shout out to running back Charlie Boletsky for Florida. Running back Charlie Boletsky had 35 carries for 169 yards with 2 touchdowns. Stephen Bush, wide receiver, and tight end Optimus Klein both had touchdowns themselves. On the defensive side of the ball, cornerback Ryan Davidson and Adrian Blaine both came up with interceptions. And defensive end Deontay Stoneville had a sack. On Jacksonville's side of the ball, wide receiver Christopher Osha and Kingston Ellington both had a touchdown, and defensive Bernard Gooding and Ricky Robertson both had an interception. So, good game. As I said before, both teams are just trying something new, and right now it's not panning out for them. So hopefully with the switch to the new game, things will be a little bit different for them. But Diggy, what's your next game?
The next game I did was Denver and DC, and that one was fun to watch as well. It was another one of the good games of the week. DC did a great job sticking to what they do best early in the game, leaning heavy on Kevin Say and mixing him into the run and the pass. And it really opened it up for other players in the game, and especially in the second half of the game there. Mike Churchill, Lauren Prococo, Gill, they all benefited from that early stuff with Say going on, and Say got the first touchdown of the game, rushing up the middle in the first to give DC the lead 7-0. Denver did a good job, making Say kind of work for his yards, but Say usually always does find a way to either spin out of something, break a tackle, and get those yards still. So they did try hard with that. Denver, I give them credit for that. Say, like I said, continued to do what he needed to do, even when he was kind of stuffed up there a little bit. Prococo ended up getting DC their second touchdown to go up 14-0 in the second. O'Shaughnessy did have some great runs in there. The stats don't show that. There wasn't a lot of positive yardage, but he did have some great runs in there. He did get Denver in position to get 3 points on the board before going into the half. Starting the third, DC was up 14-3. Denver's Josh Neal had a great interception, but were unable to score off the turnover. DC again started to march down the field, but Denver's defense capitalized on an interception by Mike Rosca Santagria, who had like a 94-yard pick six. It was really, it was fun. That ended up closing the gap 14-10. So they started the fourth out close. I think what really killed Denver's chance was the continued offsides in this game. They had a lot of offsides off that defensive line. So, like I said, that really hurt them in crucial moments of the game. DC ended up coming out and hitting Mike Churchill in the end zone again for a touchdown, extending the lead to 21-10. After that, Denver came out with O'Shaughnessy having a couple good runs and some great catches. One was by the rookie over there. There was one with Logan Neal, Dylan Lewis, and I think Quentin Tiro, I think it is. Mm-hmm. They got him to the 2-yard line, but O'Rourke really stepped up defensively. The linebacking core for DC was amazing that game, and they just kind of, shut it down there. But I want to give Strother some credit. He hit Mosley on an amazing pass, but eventually, threw a pick to Darrell Bullock, and it ended up closing the game out 28-13. But I think Gene Struthers did a really good job with what he had to go up against with that linebacking core. The run's been getting shut down all game. You're making some good key passes, and you're trying to work with what you got there. But it was a good game all around. Denver put up a fight.
Indeed. The gameplay didn't, the score didn't match the gameplay, it seemed. Much more exciting to watch it than actually, look at the standings. But
yeah, Denver, they threw those interceptions, and like I said, when they got the one interception and failed to capitalize, they came right back out with that 94-yard pick six, and it just it was crazy. They were never out of it, but you know, you can't help it with, you know, one of them was a burner by Mike Churchill, just hit open right over there. And then DC, now it's, if you prep really hard for Kevin Say, I mean, for Coco's a guarantee pretty much, you know, and then Gil used to be, you know, one of the top ones, but like I said, Churchill's really stepped up this season. He's having a career season for himself. So it's one of those teams that you gotta just kind of pick your poison. Are you gonna shut Say down the whole time, or do you think they're gonna switch it up and they can pass now? So like I said, it's awesome to watch some of these teams. They can go up and down in the same game, and it's crazy. It's always fun.
Indeed. Speaking of up and down, the Arizona Scorpions took on the Carolina Skyhawks, and that was a fantastic game. This was not a walk in the park for Arizona by any means, as both teams were able to score on each other early and often. Starting with a kick return touchdown from Harish Prasad. Kind of broke our hearts just to start the game off, but still came out with the win. Arizona now sits at 8-1, and Carolina is now 4-4. Arizona had 246 yards passing with 219 yards total, 465 yards. They had 246 yards passing, 219 running, and 465 yards total. 1 passing touchdowns, but 3 rushing touchdowns. Time of possession was 22 minutes, 24 seconds with no mistakes. We scored 7 points in the first quarter, 6 points in the second, 14 points in the third, and 9 points in the fourth quarter. Whereas Carolina had 255 yards passing, 159 yards rushing, 414 yards total. They had 1 passing touchdown, but no rushing touchdowns, which I think was the catalyst, being able to stop Ike McBride the way Eddie did. Fantastic job. Time of possession was 20 minutes, 53 seconds with 3 mistakes. They scored 14 points in the first quarter, 3 points in the second quarter, 7 points in the third, and 7 points in the fourth quarters. Now, I do want to give some shout outs to Carolina's wide receiver, of course, Harish Prasad with his 285 kick return yards, 8 kick returns, and 1 touchdown from that. Ike McBride gets a shout out too for having 144 rushing yards. Wide receiver Chase Earl, Heath McDaniel Jr., and Vincent DeSantis all had a touchdown. On the defensive side of Carolina's ball, Shavon Prasad and Davidson Joseph both received 7 tackles. AZ shoutouts will include running back DJ Moses with 22 carries for 220 yards, 3 touchdowns, and TJ Punk coming up with a touchdown and 102 yards himself. And I was not sacked at all, and I made no mistakes, and that was thanks to my O-line, Sean Crooked, EJ DeQ, and Patrick Kelly. Defense, Eddie Gage, Iverson Gamber, and Diggy all had interceptions, where Hunter Norwood, Dede Sachs had a sack, while defensive end Alex Constantine came up with 2 sacks. Sean Moore was all over the place. He had a sack as well as 10 tackles this game. So while it was not an easy game to play, we definitely need this win to kind of help us edge out over Las Vegas. I think that Arizona has to start off defensively better, especially going against this Baltimore team in Week 11. Because if you have the same start that you had with Carolina, it will not be successful for us. But either way, fantastic games all around. As I alluded to earlier, it has been a fantastic season to watch so far. It has been a fantastic season to watch so far. Some teams that were well known in the standings a few seasons ago are actually struggling now, so that is different to see. But it's just going to be interesting to see how the standings and everything shakes out in the end. We're going to Week 11 picks, and they're getting tougher.
I had a special shout out for that game. And that's a shout out to all the pizza delivery drivers out there that were busy. Because man, that game made me hungry hearing all those pizza names and everything. I was starving by the time that game was over. I was craving a pizza too.
I bet you were. So week 11 goes as follows. On Saturday at 1 p.m., first game will be London taking on the Alamo City Artillery. Should be a really good game. I think that London is actually going to come up with the win on this game. What about you?
I'm looking for the schedule there.
Schedule is actually posted in stats. It's not posted on the website like that yet. So I'm just going to read off who's playing, and you can just give me your.
Oh, you write it down and take a picture. All right. So who was it again?
It's going to be London Knights taking on the Alamo City Artillery in Alamo City.
I'm gonna go ACA.
All right. The Canton Classics will be taking on the Fort Worth Toros at 1:15 on Saturday as well. Fort Worth has been playing some strong ball as of late, so it'll be remiss if I didn't go with them right now.
Who'd you pick in the first one?
I picked London.
I picked London, and this is Fort Worth
and Canton.
I think I gotta go Fort Worth on this one as well.
All right, at 6:30 p.m., the Minnesota Legends will be taking on the Tulsa Desperados. Tulsa will be at home for this game. What do you have?
I think this will be a good game for them, but I think Minnesota comes out on top.
I am inclined to agree. Tulsa does have strong showings, but this depends on which Tulsa comes to play. So I'm going to go with Minnesota on this one. The Motor City V8s will be taking on the Houston Headhunters at 6:45 p.m. And Houston is at home. Who do you have?
I'm going to go... I do like watching Motor City play, but I think I got to go with Houston on this one this week.
Yeah, I think Houston is on a roll right now. They're definitely coming in hot, so I'm going with Houston as well. At 9 o'clock Saturday, the Seattle Nemesis will be taking on the Portland Fleet, and Portland will be at home. I think Seattle has been kind of struggling as of late. So with that being said, I think I'm going to go with Portland. They seem to be a more cohesive group at the moment.
Yeah, and Portland's having a better year than some people thought they would, so I'm going to go Portland as well.
Okay, 9:15 on Saturday, the Carolina Skyhawks will be taking on the San Diego Mavericks. San Diego will be at home. Who do you think is going to win this game?
It was San Diego and
Carolina.
This one's going to be... Honestly, this one's pretty much a coin flip. I'm just going to judge off us playing them. Okay, so I think Carolina played us harder than San Diego did, but then again, I said San Diego kind of didn't have the same look that we've seen from them over the season when we faced them. So, man, I think I'm going to go Carolina.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with Carolina as well. Like I said, if there are certain things that didn't happen in that game, I think Carolina would have took that game from Arizona. San Diego is different than when they first started. So we're going to see. Another rivalry game will be at 6 on Sunday at 6:30 p.m. The Atlanta Swarm taking on the Louisiana Revolution. This is going to be a fantastic game to watch. And Louisiana will be at home, but I think I'm going to go with Atlanta on this one.
I was gonna say Atlanta as well.
Okay. No worries. 6:45 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, the Queen City Corsairs will be taking on the Mexico City Aztecs. Mexico City will be at home. What do you have?
I'd like, but they got everything rolling over there with Mexico City. So I think Mexico pulls the win out.
I am inclined to agree with you. Mexico City, I think it's going to take this. I don't think it's going to be easy because Queen City did have a nice showing last week, but I think Mexico City will edge them out. The DC Dragons will be taking on the Las Vegas Fury, and Las Vegas will be at home at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Diggy, who do you have? You're one of your old team versus a team that we need to lose. So cool.
Yeah, that's well.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: is that honestly, I think this is going to come down to which DC shows up. Is it going to be the DC that we saw last week that can get the ball where it's needing to go and can make the plays, even if Kevin Say has a little bit of a slower start? I'm gonna go DC.
Okay.
I think they can pull it out. I think they were talking in that game. They were talking in that game last week about Denver and DC both need to win to get into the playoffs if they lost. Well, I was like, they can still qualify for the wild card round. And the only thing I think is going to hurt DC coming up is they have to face Baltimore that last week of the season again.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm going to give them the win. Yeah, we'll go.
Okay. I'm actually going to agree with you on that one. I think that when it comes to coaching, you have John Bond versus Jermaine Smith. And it's just going to come down to the more seasoned coach at this moment. You can have all the pieces, but I think the most seasoned coach is probably going to wind up taking this one. Both of them have been in the league for a long time, though. So it is going to be a true chess match. It's going to be close. But I think DC is actually going to take over the win. Charleston Predators will be taking on the Denver Nightwings, and Denver will be at home. Who do you have? And this is going to be at 9:15 Eastern on Sunday.
I would like to say Charleston in this one, but from what I saw from Denver, especially kind of defensively, I think I'm going to go with Denver over Charleston.
This was actually a toss up for me too. Both teams are kind of struggling at the moment. And when I flipped my coin, it came up Charleston. So I'm going to go with Charleston on this one. We're going to see.
I think this will be one of those games that really surprises everybody this week. It'll probably be one of the better games in the week. So
indeed,
we'll see.
Indeed. Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, prime time. The Arizona Scorpions will be taking on the Baltimore Vultures. Repeat of the championship game. Baltimore sitting pretty. Arizona looking to take care of some unfinished business. So, Diggy, who do you have?
Oh, you knew it'd come down to this one.
You know it.
I bet there's a lot of people wondering, man, he's been real and picked against this team before. Is he going to do it now? And trying to get a pick to get another maybe one win, since we picked a lot of the same games this week, closer to closing the gap. I would rather have the real trophy rather than our little pick 'em. So I'm going to say Scorpions going to get that dub on Monday night. And it's going to be a tough fought game. It will. It's going to come down to, I think, us having good protection for you, as well as you being able to make the good decisions with the ball and not throwing it to the wrong color jersey. So I think that's what it's going to come down to. We know we can count on the leg from Cliff to get us at least some kind of points on the board. So I'm not too worried about scoring, and I think our defense is a lot better than we're kind of getting credit for, I guess. I don't know.
Everybody have an
I
off
don't know.
game. Everybody have an off game.
Yeah. I think we're more than equipped to handle the task, and I think we get it done.
Yeah. I mean, things would have been different during the championship game. But
well, the other thing too is if not to blame AI for anything, not to but the game itself, the game has been putting us in a hurry up so early.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the last week it was like 6-7 minutes left on that, and we're doing a hurry up offense. Like, well, what is going on here?
Don't know. Hopefully they'll get that.
I hope if everything goes good and fair for both sides, no injuries for nobody, everybody's good. I hope it's a healthy game for everybody on both sides, because I don't want no excuses for us, no excuses for them. Just ball out on Monday night.
Indeed. Let's do it. Hot topic question is, how excited will the SFLm be this season? I mean, how exciting will it be? The teams will include the Albuquerque Adams, being coached by Joshua Williams, the Annapolis Navigators, being coached by Jay Hayden, the Lexington Miners, being coached by Marco Swift, the Lincoln Rattlesnakes, being coached by Chris Britton. Madison Lynx is going to be coached by James Walters. The Ottawa Cavalry will be coached by Kanye Rockefeller. That's new. San Jose Flight will be coached by Art Vandelay, and the Tacoma Grizzlies will be coached by Stefan Forge. So I think it's going to be, personally, I think that these rookies should be hell of excited to be able to hit the field, be able to test out their bills, and to be able to have these premier coaches help them on their SFLm journey. If I had to guess who's going to be the top two teams, I believe, of course, the Adams, until other teams show proof, that they could do a little bit better. I mean, the Adams is where it's at, but I also have to give a shout out to the Madison Lynx, and I also have to give a shout out to the San Jose Flight too, because they always put up strong showings too. So maybe the top three teams in the SFLm, in my opinion, only, it's going to be those three teams.
I think this is what I'm going to say. Should you be excited? Yeah, you should be excited. But I think I'm going to kind of hold my view on it until I see what's actually going to fully happen. Like, okay. Are we? Of course, I'm gonna pull for my Lynx. I gotta pull for the Lynx, but yeah, I got to. But I just want to see if anything's been done to be fixed at all. Is the spread of players that are returning going to be as even as it can be across the board, and not have a stacked amount more on one team than another? Has there been a stunner players that are doubling back, or you know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of waiting to see what all's gonna, if any, change wise, other than the coaches. All the guys got hired down there, and the new. I think what we saw last season with everybody airing out was kind of just the beginning of the change of how the SFL. I'm excited to see what everybody's got planned for, and other than that's all I'm going to say on that, because like I said, I kind of want to see what's going to be for the concern and gripes on things. So I'm going to just wait and see what they do with that. So
I definitely understand that. My picks are based on coaching and the ability of the coaches, and I've seen what a lot of these coaches can do. But it'd be interesting to see, like you said, with the player bills that are now there, how is it all going to mesh together? So now we slide over to fourth and goal interviews, coming right up. And 3, oh. What was that? D, you stuck.
No, I'm not.
You look like you were stuck.
I'm just sitting here confused, wondering.
You just did this, and I'm trying to figure out what was that?
Moving on to the next one.
Oh my God.
Go,
Oh
go.
my God.
Or should I just say stop? Wait where you're at. Don't do nothing. Don't do nothing. Let's just have. Can we just stop right here?
Mm-mm.
Let's have an awkward silence for about 30, 40 seconds.
I got to get back to work, so no silences. What is up, SFL Nation? And we are back with my fourth and gold interview featuring a lot of cool people right here, a lot of good friends of mine. I am happy to introduce to you some of the owners and owner coaches that are a part of our wonderful league that helped make this league run. And honestly, if it wasn't for these individuals, I'm not sure where we would be. So I'm going to go and start off by introducing everybody first. And then as I'm going with the questions, I'm going to just call on everyone one by one. And then we'll be able to kind of get to know them like that. So first I have Mr. Duane Schindler. He is over from the Motor City V8s. I have Mr. Jermaine Smith. He is over from the DC Dragons. Mr. Kristian Aleixo. Aleixo, better get that right because he will get on me. He is over from the Canton Classics. Mr. Andrew Hamilton, he is over for the Vancouver Legions. Mr. Axel Raven, he is over from the Minnesota Legends. Mr. Bo Martin Jr., over from the Alamo City Artillery. Mr. Dion Hawkins, over from Tulsa Desperados. Mr. Eddie Gage, over from the Arizona Scorpions. And lastly, Mr. Jacob Clear, over from the Charleston Predators. So it's going to be a really good show tonight. I'm really excited to talk to all of these individuals and to kind of pick their brain about a few things. First question for you gentlemen will be, why are you a member of the SFL and what keeps you coming back season after season? And I'm going to start off with Andrew.
Of course, we start with me. I got to get over the mute button. I think for me, the community as well as the people on my team kind of keep me coming back year over year, as well as the opportunity, each season to compete at a high level and really, get out there against a lot of people and team owners and coaches that I respect and kind of go toe to toe and give everyone our best shot to beat them. I think keeps bringing me back, and until I win the big one, I'm just gonna have to keep throwing knives at the wall, if you will.
Hey, I understand that, man. I understand. Next up, Mr. Jermaine Smith.
What makes me keep coming back to the SFL?
Yeah,
just group of people, friendship, competition. And that's what keeps me coming back to the SFL. That's about as simple as it gets. I like the competition against other teams. Like the certain core group of owners that I'm cool with, and we chit chat on a regular basis, not just about SFL stuff, but things in life in general. And just having a team is like having an organization. It's like having another full-time job in some cases. So sometimes it gives you a headache, but for the most part, I enjoy it, and that's what keeps me back. Keep coming back.
All right, love it. Love to hear it. Axel, tell us why you like to come back.
Yeah, I mean it's early. They've shared out already. Sort of like two parts. It's the player community, both at the very levels. My team, the community itself is great. like Jermaine was saying, the challenge, the competition, the challenge of against yourself, against the AI. How can you relate it to do things you want? And then come the game, it's like, well, all of that could be, you could have the best sims, and then it's just a sort of, a monkey wrench in it, and see how it plays out. So it's sort of like gambling a little bit to addictive in that way. So.
Cool. Bo Martin Jr.
Yeah, for me, I would say it's the camaraderie. I joined this league because to be honest, I've never been much of a gamer. But I joined this league because one of my good friends was in this league, and he basically just asked me to join. So I was like, sure, if it means I get to kick it with you and have some fun with you, I'll do it. So I did it, initially just for him. And it kind of expanded and blew up to this whole community full of really cool people. I got to meet some great people, and I've developed real friendships from out of this, and so that's why I keep coming back.
All right, good deal. Dion.
Yeah, mine is strictly for the community. First of all, I don't know how many other leagues can be this close, tight knit, and then also kind of hate each other at the same time and still be cordial. So the community at large, and then just the competition. I mean, you could play a video game all day, but it's certain strategies where people will bring out the best of you because you're not able to best them. So it's just, whether you're on top or even you at the bottom, you're just constantly striving to be the best and win, and just satisfaction from doing that. So that's what keeps me coming back.
Okay. Jacob.
Outside of what's already been discussed, I think the community is a huge one for me, just outside of the product, but also like the depth of content available outside of the league and its productions, in terms of not just this show, but also Eddie's 2 shows, Access Live, etc. It's just creates that depth of engagement with the community that keeps me coming back.
All right, then. Love to hear it. Kristian.
I am a member of the SFL mainly because I'm a lifelong football fan through and through. I've always said that if auto racing didn't exist, football would be my number one sport. So I like that I get to be around like-minded people on a very regular basis. And just as everyone else said, the community's been fantastic. And really nobody else is doing it, the sim football thing at the level of the SFL. That's something that I think is intriguing. And I like the challenge of seeing if I can conquer that mountain.
All right. Go. Duane.
Well, I've always been a big football fan, like the other people have said. The football and hockey are probably the 2 sports I watch the most. And I get really involved in football compared to, I'll watch arena football, flag football. I don't care if it's football 6-man. I don't care. If it's football, I'll watch it. And I think what really attracted me initially was the kind of immersive game day experience with the live broadcasting and the rolling scoreboard and all those elements. That brings a whole new level to it, other than like playing a simulation on a computer or on a board game or something like that. And what really has kept me here is just I've made a lot of friends and met a lot of like-minded people since I've been here.
I can dig that. And sliding in at the last second, Mr. Damon Siemien. He is over from the Houston Headhunters. And Damon, please tell me, why are you a member of the SFL and what keeps you coming back?
What keeps coming? But why I'm a member of the SFL, I have to go all the way back. Season 4, I think it was.
2 minutes, Damon. 2 minutes.
No, I'm keeping it short. I know I'm long-winded. Season 4, when Minnesota won their first championship, And, you know, knowing T-Pat, somewhat knowing T-Pat, I knew a little bit of him or whatever, but seeing him as an owner get that victory or so, you know, that was one of the reasons why I, you know, wanted to become an owner. But the reason I joined this league was to see what it was all about, you know, find out, you know, what's going on here and stuff. And then, you know, been here since 2014 or so, and, you know, met so many people, whatever. But yeah, that's it. So what was the second question? Because you had a 2-part question.
It was why. I think you answered both of them actually. It was what keeps you coming back, and you know, why are you a member of the SFL?
What keeps me coming back? What keeps me coming back is the guys on the team. You know, people join this league, you know, to be a part of something, and everyone is on the team wants to win a championship. You know, and that's what keeps bringing me back. You know, is try to get that championship for my players. That's it.
Okay. So, Jacob, can you tell me why did you choose to become an owner, or a coach, or even both?
Well, as many in this room would know, my coaching journey has been a bit of an interesting one. It started essentially in the minor leagues, alongside with trying to get an understanding of how Damon did his coaching in Houston. It was more so a spectatorship thing, and then I took that to the minor league, won 2 championships in 5 seasons down there. I then took 1 season long stint with San Diego in their first season, and then eventually sort of wound up in good conversation with Alan at Charleston, and that's how that role eventuated. So I was essentially taking over the coaching, or at least half of the coaching, from Alan, unbeknownst to the community, because he was selling the team. So it was just by chance and by virtue of circumstance that it worked out the way it did. And furthermore, ownership, it was passed on to Johnny through Alan, and then Johnny didn't have time for it, and it just happened to be that I was the most qualified individual to buy it off Johnny. So again, it was by and large through just circumstances that I ended up in the position that I am in. But I also would like to think that in the short time that I was in Charleston prior to buying into the ownership that I had, displayed a level of competency as an owner to warrant being put in the position.
Indeed. I owe a big apology to Mr. Eddie Gage. I skipped him, so I apologize. So if you would go back, Eddie, and please tell us, you know, why are you here? What keeps you coming back? And you can actually answer this second question too. Eddie?
You're muted, bro.
My bad.
For now, your answers.
Ashley.
And you just as long-winded as I am, so 2 minutes.
It's okay, Ashley. You forget about me all the time. It's all good. No, I like everybody else said, Jermaine in particular, the community, you know, Cam built a great product here. Shout out to him and the league staff. The competition, you know, game day is just like a whole other thing for me. You know, me and my heart rate with my Apple Watch start going off. But yet and still, through all the stress, it gives me, I keep coming back because I like the competition. I like to compete. I like hanging out with the locker room, you know, the community, everybody. So there you have it.
Okay.
What was the second question?
Why did you choose to become an owner or coach? Owner and coach, actually.
Coaching, because one day when I was with Baltimore back in season 9, I forgot who we played, but we got our tails kicked in. And I told TJ, I'm like, look, bro, I don't even know who the coach was, because that's how little involved I was back then. But I said, whoever the coach is, man, you need to fire him and let somebody else do it. He said, why don't you do it? I said, well, I wasn't expecting that, but all right. And he made me a defensive coordinator right away, and kind of went from there. Ownership, I've said this story a million times. Back when I was in Houston with Damon as the defensive coordinator, We were getting ready to play Vancouver, and Cam, and back when Jeremy was broadcasting the games, we beat Vancouver at the last minute, like a walk-off pick six by Rookie of the Year, Everett Garrison. And the broadcast made a point to announce that the mom must be proud of the efforts of Houston, of us getting that win. I'm like, bro, what about me? I'm the defensive coordinator. I played a part in it too. And that kind of, hit me. I'm like, you know what? I need to build a name for myself. And I told the mom, hey, bro, I love it here, but I need to build, my own reputation, and so I can get some attention too. And there you have it.
Gotcha. Jermaine, tell me, why did you choose to become an owner and coach?
I really don't want to be a coach. I want someone else to do the damn coaching, but I have no choice these days. No one wants to step in and do it, so here I am. But the reason why I became an owner was just going back, keep it short. Season 3, I was with the Dallas Stars, and I didn't like the uniforms. They were busted up looking, and I wanted to change it, and dude wasn't about it. And so I just said, nah, and I left. That was it, because I just knew that I could do better, and I got to make the team look better. And, I can't tell another man what he can and can't do with his team. I was okay, well, no problem. So I decided to step down, and I said I took season 4 off, and then when they had the bid for season 5, I put my name in the hat, and I knew who I was going against. I said, I'm definitely getting the team, no doubt. And and I was right, and got the team, and we went from there. That was the first time around. Second time around, it's got that itch, just, hey, it's time to bring the Dragons back. The team the league needs a team that has some decent uniforms. And so I said, it's time to come back. And here I am.
All right, then. Kristian, what made you decide to become an owner?
I decided to become an owner because I believe in the potential of what the SFL could be. I wasn't here very long, and neither was my co-part Adam. But when we got here, we both saw where this thing could go. I'm fortunate that I am the U.S. events coordinator for World Pro Racing, televised on ESTV, and so I see just from that side of things where esports really can be, right? It's the only virtual racing series aside from the official F1 series that is actually FIA sanctioned. And I like the idea of something going to its absolute limit and to helping take it to that absolute limit. And I realized at that point, I wasn't going to be able to do that if I was just a player. So I figured the best thing to do something about that was to join the ownership group and try to help move that along as far as growth goes and the potential. Esports is on an uprise right now. It's on a climb. I don't see it going anywhere. And if we maximize what we have in the window that we have it, I really do think that the league could be even so much bigger than it is now. And that's not to take away from what it is right now. It's a great league right now, but I think it can go even further. And so that's why I decided to become an owner.
Okay. Andrew.
Yeah, so I got started in season 6 with Carolina, and basically at that point I had seen an advertisement for owning a team, and I put my name in the hat along with Shan Varner and James Klein. Cam, in all his wisdom, decided that James Klein should lead that franchise in a great move. And then somehow managed to convince Shan and I to join James, making the wild trio there in Carolina for so many years. We didn't win a lot of games together, but we sure had a lot of fun and became great friends. And so from there, Shan and I always kind of had the thought process that we wanted to become team owners. It was always a dream of mine to run the franchise and run a franchise, how I wanted. And with, my thought and kind of ideas on how to, not only help my players, but also help the league grow and compete at a high level. And I was lucky enough that the ownership group that was there at the time voted me in. And despite a lot of best efforts, no one's been able to get rid of me.
Gotcha. Bo, why did you decide to become an owner?
So, for me, for those of you who know me, you guys know I'm just a very passionate person when I get involved in something. And so, sometimes even to a fault. And so I think what it was for me, I needed the ability to speak freely with my passion. And it didn't really make sense for me to speak with this bravado about my team if I was just a player. So for me, in order for me to have the freedom of speech, to be able to take control of my team and to speak with a certain degree of authority, I felt like I needed to be more than just a player. And at the same token, I joined the league back in season 15 as a member of the London Knights. And then I spent the season there in London and then was fortunate enough to come over to Lone Star and spend the next few seasons with Lone Star. And so it was under the ownership first with Wally and Charles, of course, and then later on with Charles. And when Charles decided to leave the team in the very capable hands of Albert and Yogi, those two did a wonderful job running the team by themselves, but they were looking for a little bit more of a collective effort to make things go smoothly. And so they decided to add, 3 more people to the ownership team. And that's where myself, Juke and Rukin and Greg Soto came in at. And so we joined Albert and Yogi, and we became a wonderful collaborative. So I joined the ownership team because I liked the idea of that collaboration. I liked what we were building in Lone Star, and I wanted to see it move forward now that we're Alamo City, and I wanted to help be a part of continuing that.
Okay then. All right then. Axel.
Yeah, I'll start with coach. So being a player up through the minor leagues, and my first in the pros, didn't win a lot of games, but really wanted to be better understand why and try to understand what went into game planning and be more of a master of my own destiny, and at least play a part in how the on the field takes place. So a little bit under Shan and Scott Johnson, and then in the fall joined Madison as an assistant coach under Jacob Clear there, and learned from him, and then progressed on under Liam Hammer, variety of players are coaching, sort of learned as much as could. So he all that and realize how much you have a master of your own destiny, but really how much is also out of your control. Sort of the fun here for owner again up in the minds, trying to make everybody engaged, within the locker room, on the team, as a player, and then going to the switch is fairly. I wanted to a vibe community there as much as I could, but you can lead a horse water kind of thing. It just became tough. Had a really experience at the Mavericks when I was there. Really collaborative and talkative, and great group of people there, and really sort of helped to set me on what I want to have as a team, and want to sort of atmosphere this collaborative, great. Interactive locker room kind of experience. So really wanting that I've sort of felt, and again with BJ as well, what we could do as so.
Okay. Dion.
Initially I just always wanted to own my own team. Like when I was growing up, I'd play video games, and a lot of times I wouldn't even play the games. I just set up the team and do contracts and the whole thing. So when I first joined it, I saw that you can actually do that. So I just wanted to join, become an owner, and have fun initially. So that was kind of in the early days. Once the league started taking off and sponsorships became a thing, it's more about the whole aspect of it, as far as, you get to run your own team, but building relationships with people, and just making a good experience for just the average player. That kind of drives me to this day, why I still do it. Because I've been having fun for a while, but even when we're losing sometimes, I hate it, but just to be able to provide another experience for someone who wants to just be a player and see themselves on the field. Maybe they have like a disability or they just weren't talented enough to play football. Just seeing them, me to give that opportunity for them to be a front office member, or that's what why it's all worth it. Why I keep doing it.
Okay. Demand.
Yo.
So why did you choose to become an owner and coach for the league?
Well, I mean, coaching wise, I mean, I was offered coaching by TJ, and I turned him down. TJ was like, "Hey man, would you like to be my offensive coordinator?" This is back in season 5, and I'm not sure if TJ had the time, to be his own offensive coordinator, or whatever. And now I was part of TJ's team, and I said, no. I said, man, I don't know how to be no offensive coordinator in this league. He's like, man, just pick plays.
Okay.
But like I said, I turned him down. One, I really wasn't all in. I mean, I was in. I just say with the big toe. I was in with the big toe. Everything else just wasn't in there yet. But and then also at the same time, Jermaine even offered me to come over and coach with him and be part of his team. And I think TJ had asked me first about being with Baltimore, and that's why I went with Baltimore instead of with DC. But if Jermaine would have asked me before TJ did, I most definitely would have went over with him. But I mean, why I'm an owner, man, it's just a passion, and I'm in the same boat as Dion. I used to run simulations back in the day, back on Tecmo Bowl, where you had to go in manually and put it on CPU versus CPU. You couldn't just move your controller over to user, which user, whatever, put it in the middle. You literally had to go in and do a season and then put it on CPU, whatever. Eddie, I see you looking at your watch. And then as technology moved on, I started doing that even with Maddens and with 989 Sports Game Day. College Game Day and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, me and my brother used to always run simulations, man. And when the SFL came along, I was like, okay, well, yeah, I got an opportunity to be an owner, and I jumped on it. I heard that season 6 was expanding. I said, I'm in. Let me get ownership, get in, and see what's going on.
Okay. And Duane.
Well, it kind of surprised me a little bit because originally when I got involved with the league, I thought it went the way the NFL went. Where you put your time in as a player, and then you go into coaching, and then if you've proven yourself at that point, you go into ownership. And I found myself like a season and a half in being an owner. I initially became a coach because at that time, I think it was a small enough community to where if you showed an interest and a passion and a willingness to drive the league forward, you got opportunities. And I was offered, when they expanded in season 8, I was offered 3 different coaching jobs, and ultimately took up a job with St. Louis because it just was a good fit in what he wanted to do. And he talked about wanting to do a greatest show on turf kind of thing. And I was a big Los Angeles St. Louis Rams fan. So that kind of sold me on it. And then Colin didn't have the greatest original staff, and I was all that was left by mid-season. So I stepped up, and I really admired how much work he put in, and he had been here for a couple years before me, and I didn't want anything to happen to the team. So I stepped up and helped him. I said, but you've got to give me a bigger role here, because I want to help you, but the league's not talking to me because I'm just a coach. So I asked to be the president of football operations, and then next time I called in to talk to Cam on a post-game show, he announced me as the new co-owner of the St. Louis Gladiators. I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't say co-owner. And then I'm like, but once he said that, I was like, I realized, you know what? I'm going to own it. I'm going to be a co-owner. And, it's crazy that was almost 8 years ago at this point. I can't believe that I've been, in the league that long, but it's, it was a surprise, but a pleasant one.
Awesome. Dion, tell me, what is your greatest strength? Well, one greatest strength that you have, and one greatest weakness that you have as an owner or coach, or both.
Strength is probably just my personality. Like I can talk to just about anyone, whether I had to stop myself from cursing. See, I told you I was definitely about to. Whether you a nice person or not, just I can pretty much connect with any kind of person. So just talking to people, helping them through situations. Weakness is probably just maybe not so much more, but just my visibility. So like I wasn't all in public chats, or I kind of kept it to my team only, talking to them, and even a lot of DMing back and forth. So although I'm working on it, I've been a lot more visible than I was previously in the past, but I'm not always out there like Eddie every 3-4 days doing podcasts and on everybody else's podcast. So just that would probably be my main weakness.
Okay. Jacob, one strength and one weakness.
On strength, I think our organization this season in the back room has probably been the best it's ever been in terms of how we've organized our front office and the people we've trained to perform in positions that we've usually not been able to fill. We've created two, very qualified scouts that are going to be, in the ways of and moving towards coaching into the new game in Gino McFly and Matt Ryan. So that's kind of been a big strength of ours, not only from the fact that we recruited them properly, but then sort of moved them through means of progression to get them to the point where they can start looking at playbooks. But just like the level of understanding that these guys have had as we've worked with them throughout the season at developing the quality of scouting that they've been able to produce, it's like nothing we've ever had before. So I think that strength we've developed, Jack and I as owners, just being able to properly pick out people who we can know will carry out those responsibilities and do it to such a high level, and also to train them up, that's kind of been our biggest strength this season. And it's also just speaking to two individuals who don't necessarily get the representation that they deserve, but they're just fantastic people in our team, and we're glad to have them. Weakness, I think in the past it potentially could be my own level of understanding of my players. I think that's largely because of the amount of rotation we've had in recent seasons. I just haven't had an opportunity to properly work out the tools that we have available to us. I think this season in particular, you've seen Saren Storm and Nick Hoagland, the two backs, have just not hit the ground running this season, and that's largely because I'm still trying to work out the best methods of understanding builds when I get a hold of them. And to put it into perspective of why that's a weakness, I don't think I ever really worked out how to use Keith Swearingen properly, and that was after he had a fantastic season last season when we went with only 3 wins. And irrespective of the fact that I think he was top 5 in yardage, he just didn't sort of reach the heights that we had intended for him. And I think that again falls on my understanding of his build as a coach, and that's something that I will be looking to improve upon as we enter the new game, is understanding what I've got available to me and how I best use them.
Okay, I like the honesty. I can appreciate that. Eddie, greatest strength, one greatest weakness.
Let's think about this one for a minute. I think my greatest strength is the way I'm able to communicate with our locker room and sell them my vision of the team and where we're trying to go and how we're trying to get there, and getting us as a unit to buy in and having everyone feel like they're a part of the team and that every player is important. Like I say, I tell them all the time, no, from the quarterback to the backup punter, whoever you are on the team, everybody's important, and it's important that they understand that. I would say my biggest weakness, probably, as you know, Ashley, is my emotions. I'm an emotional person. I always have been throughout life, and sometimes it gets in the way. Latest example being when the news came out that we were transitioning to 2K4, and I did not take the news well. And I had a meeting with the team and told them, and I pretty much voiced my displeasure and told them I was dipping at the end of the season. And I could have handled that. I could have handled that better. But sometimes, like you did this time, you reel me in and said, Eddie, I understand how you feeling, but you got to convey that message a bit different. So that's something I'm older now. I'm still having a problem addressing sometimes. So I would say my emotions get the best of me.
Okay. I like that honesty too. That's why you got me here, man. It's all right. Got you. Duane.
Well, I think my biggest strength maybe is long-term vision, not getting disappointed by short-term things going on, like losing people or losing more games than you expected or having a bad performance, because we're playing 24 games a year. You got to put a team out there and go through the whole routine, whether you blew out your opponent last week or they blew you out. You got another game coming up, and so you got to get into the routine with it. I think biggest weakness for me is maybe sometimes when life gets in the way, I can not keep people in the loop as much as maybe I would like to, because I do genuinely really I get really passionate about this game. I do really enjoy being a part of the community, but I've not one of those people who was really into internet communities before I came here, and so sometimes maybe I can be a little bit distant. I'm working on that though, because I do really genuinely like most people in this league.
Okay. Jermaine.
I think my strength as far as being an owner, just putting out potential fires. We had, our team, although last year we went on an 8-game winning streak, we had some issues because we had a particular player that want to get the ball more. And then there was some friction. And of course, it's a three-way in the chat, and I'm sitting there observing it on one of my 4 monitors. I'm just sitting there looking at it. Then it's like, okay, I'm gonna let you talk, get it out of the way, and then once I come in, and that's it. We're gonna all just chill out. We're all gonna calm down and be like men, gentlemen, and we're gonna iron this out, hash it out. And so I think that's what I'm good at. And I think that's a skill that I have because I'm a general manager. So that's I deal with a lot of personalities, and that's just a skill that I've always had for 20 plus years. My weakness as an owner, I would say, is I will say I don't communicate enough when it comes to the team. I do a lot of individual DMs, but when I talk to the team, sometimes I try not to respond when I'm at work. Yeah. I had this problem when I was the league president, is that when I respond to at work, I would talk to a certain way. And I remember Cam will always say, that's trying to tell when you're at work, because the way you respond, I'm just more direct, not more personable when I'm at work. But when I'm, but at home, it's like, okay, I'm more chill. Well, yeah, that's just, I would say that would be my weakness is the fact that I don't really address the team a lot because, and mainly it's because Monex does that. He's a general manager, so I kind of just sit back and observe. That's what would happen in real life if I own an NFL team. But I would say my weakness is, yeah, I'm not as vocal when it comes to the team chat. I pretty much only speak when I have to.
Okay. Axel.
Yeah, I think a strength of mine is bringing people together and creating just a very welcoming atmosphere, making people feel accepted for who they are and that kind of thing. Very inclusive and trying to bring people together. Challenge or weakness that I think I have is I don't handle conflict very well. I shy away from it. I don't say things with my chest. But I think that's where having a co-owner that is sort of the yin to your yang helps. So and BJ is exactly that. So yeah.
Indeed. Bo.
For me, I would say my strength would be being a leader. I think that a lot of people look for leadership. They're, for whatever reason, if they, for example, if there's an issue that needs to be handled, if there's someone who perhaps they need to communicate an issue about, whether it be on the team or outside of the team. A lot of people look for leadership and somebody that they know will go to bat for them and will go to war for them. And they know that they have that in me. And so they know that, I will fight for my team because I view my team as my family, as I'm sure everyone does. But they know I'll go to bat for them, and they know they can look to me to make sure that they get some sort of good conclusion to whatever issue that they're having. As far as weakness, I'll be honest, my weakness would be that I'm not as familiar with the game as I should be. I could not be a coach. That is one of the reasons why I was so happy to be able to surround myself with such good coaches like Greg Soto. Albert Begin was another person who had prior coaching experience. One of the reasons I was able to become an owner is because I was surrounded by such great coaches. And because if I wasn't, I wouldn't have been able to do that by myself. I could not own a team because I couldn't coach a team right now. And I'm confident enough to say that that is something that I need to get better at as far as coaching, as far as scouting, things of that sort. So that would probably be my biggest weakness.
Okay. Demand.
I would say my biggest strength would have to. I'm sorry, I'm playing GTA.
Figures.
I would have to say my biggest strength would have to be communication. Communication is very, very key to me in every aspect of my life, whether it's my relationship with others. I speak to people the way how I want to be spoken to. And I'm pretty sure Eddie can vouch for this. When I'm reaching out to a potential free agent, I speak to that person. Eddie, I tell you, I write a book. I'm speaking to that individual the way how I would want an owner to reach out to me. So I think that's one of my biggest strengths is the way how I know how to communicate with people. My background is in leadership. I have a degree in leadership and science. So I know how to use that to my advantage or so. And one of my weaknesses, I would most definitely have to say I'm too nice. I have too much of a kind heart. I'm always trying to help out others, but I don't receive that in return at times, and that actually hurts, So I think that me just having too much of a big of a heart, would probably be my weakness.
Okay. Andrew.
Yeah, I think, one of my strengths as an owner is branding. I think that I am very passionate about the social media and the branding and the look and the feel of our team. I think I like to kind of make that a priority for us, although time sometimes takes my ability to execute that at a high level away from me. I also would say that one of my strengths is the ability to kind of be a chameleon of sorts, where there's a lot of different things that go on in the league, and I like to think that at least at a small level that I can do a lot of them, whether that be stats, broadcasting, graphics, coaching. There's a lot of different areas of the league that people are good in very specific areas. I like to think that I can float around in a lot of them and be kind of flexible in the roles that I can take on. In terms of things that I'd like to improve on, or things that I consider negatives, I think a lot of times my passion for the team and the league sometimes gets misconstrued, or in a lot of instances, my passion maybe overrides my feelings and ability to kind of control the way that I word things. And I think many people on this call could agree that sometimes those passionate feelings could be better handled or better worded to kind of not rub people the wrong way.
Okay. I appreciate all of your honesty, gentlemen. Lastly, Kristian.
I'm going to change the pronoun on my answer to this from my to an our, just because my co-owners and I are a team in this. We each provide something, and it's all going into the same pot. So I'd say our greatest strength is going to be our network, and our ability to do things and kind of leverage that network. So I'm fortunate enough to be a pro athlete in real life. So I have an agent, and most of his clients are NFL clients. So we were able to leverage that to grow that network, right? And now we've got the relationship with the Hall of Fame. We've got the relationship with the real city of Canton. We've been able to get featured in the newspaper. We've been able to, Adam and I have done interviews on the radio. So being able to take this from a virtual setting into real life is all because of that network. We were able to get an NFL Hall of Famer to be in the ownership group with us, and that opens up that network even more. So I think that's really been our biggest strength for sure. We were able to take Kendra Wells to the Hall of Fame with us, and she got to have breakfast with Anthony Munoz and Mike Singletary and David Tyree and Dave Robinson and all these fantastic greats, and that's all just because of the network. And I got to give a shout out to our head chaplain, of course, Darren Gray, as being a part of that network as well. We're able to provide something pretty unique to our team in that I think we're the only SFL franchise who's ever had a chaplain. So whenever a player is going through something hard in their life, in their real life, they can come to Darren, who does this for his NFL players. He's in Israel right now with a group of NFL players, just walking the streets that Jesus did with them. So he's doing that stuff at the moment, and our team has access to that because of the network. So the biggest weakness I think of ours is that Adam and I have not been here very long, so we didn't really get the time to know everybody in this room and outside of this room, and just
Kristian? Unmute, dear. Kristian?
Hey.
Yeah, there you go. Last thing I heard was you didn't get it. You guys didn't get a chance to really get to know the people like in this room and things
right. And I think that if we were able to have more time, we could have built better relationships, I guess, with just some of the people. And we did our best to kind of minimize that challenge by getting a GM like Mike All, who Mike talks to everybody. Mike knows everybody. But that's probably the biggest weakness of ours.
Gotcha. I am joined by another good friend of mine, Mr. Mark Chisolm. He is the owner and coach for the Atlanta Swarm. Thank you for joining us this evening. We are kind of a few questions in, but I will ask you this one. what is one of your greatest strengths and one of your weaknesses in being an owner / coach?
What up, Ash? I just got in.
Yeah.
I forgot about this.
It's all right, man. I
got a
appreciate you.
hectic lifestyle right now, but
Definitely understand.
I'll try to slide in. Greatest weakness and strength as an owner. I think my greatest weakness is I care too much. And I think I get emotional when I see people making mistakes, but I understand people in life got to go through life to make those mistakes and get it. Just hoping that it might not be too late when they do get it. And my greatest strength is probably leadership. I have put, my team in a place where it basically runs itself. Since I got other things going on in my life, I'm not able to be there like I used to. And it's still running like I'm there every day because I have shown these guys how to operate at a high level. Siege, he can own a team right now in this league. Swole, as you can see by his team in the minors, that he could run a team right now. And Dynasty is coming up in training. So, definitely, if you would add any of the guys in my locker room, that's why they stay. You know what I'm saying? Whether we winning or losing, those guys are going to stay on my team.
Gotcha. While I have you here, I'm going to ask you start you off with the next question then. What is one skill that you think one should possess in being an owner or being a coach, or both?
Skill.
Yeah.
Well, there's two different demographics. Ownership is totally different than being a coach.
Okay, then what is one skill for each? Because you are both.
A skill for coaching is just you got to have the work ethic to put in the time to grind, in the lab and have some knowledge of the game. It's not just something you can pick up and expect to be successful. As an owner, definitely some sort of leadership skill you got to have, because people want to be led, you know what I'm saying? And they're not into following somebody that's just going to mismanage them at the end of the day.
Okay. Kristian, what about you? What should
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. If you.
Oh, and I was going to say that I agree with Mark that those are, definitely two different things. I cannot speak to being a coach firsthand, but I have been around our staff quite a bit, and I'm always impressed by their level of dedication, the level of effort, their ability to take accountability, when things don't go well, and kind of saying, yeah, okay, that's on me, and addressing the team and keeping all that stuff together and erasing it from your mind, right? It's like a pitcher, you throw the ball, gets taken over the fence, you got to erase it, act like it didn't happen, and throw the next pitch. So that's something I think probably helps our guys as coaches when things don't go our way, and be able to come back out with something hopefully competitive the next week. I think as an owner, to me, a necessary skill to being an owner of a sports franchise is a bit of business savvy. You've got to know where your strengths are and how to capitalize on them. And everybody's got different ways of going about that, but it all is to support growing your team, growing your brand. And that's something that I aim to do here with Canton. We all put a ton of time into this thing. We put a ton of effort into this thing. I think we all deserve for the entire country to know who our teams actually are, right? And kind of growing this thing outside of the SFL bubble, because we put in enough time. Like it deserves that. So to me, that's what being an owner is about to me. But
okay, Duane, what do you think one skill would be?
Well, since I've been here, honestly, I think that the role of being an owner has kind of evolved. You know, it's when I first started, and you know, the people have been here longer than I have, like Damon and Jermaine can really attest to that. The owner, they named the team, they picked out the colors of the uniform, they you know, they named the stadium, they named all the players. That team was an extension of them, and you know, and they did all the coaching and and working within the structure we had back then. Since it's become player, you know, there's been more player roles and more staff roles now on teams. I think as an owner, it's really multitasking and knowing what your strengths are individually and what roles that people can fulfill and what strengths they have that you haven't, that you may not have, but your team needs. I think that's the greatest thing. You know, if people want to get into doing stats, hey, well, we need people to do stats. You know, we've had some great, talented people with multimedia and promotion and social media that were well beyond what Colin and I could have done on our own to promote the team. And you know, you have to know how to read people, and you have to have a little bit of that leadership skill and communication skills with people, and knowing that different people are motivated by different things. And so if you're trying to recruit them, or you're trying to get them to stay with your team, you got to like tailor a vision of the team around what that individual's role and what they can add to it. And so there's a lot that goes into it, but you have to kind of be able to wear all those hats at one time or another, and sometimes at the same time to be an owner.
Got it. Jermaine. Jermaine?
My apologies, had it on mute. The skills that are required to be a coach, it's like Chisolm said, you gotta have knowledge of the game. You can't just go in and just, you know, just go willy-nilly and just put in anything you want. That's how you get smoked. You have to go in, you have the dedication. And like I said earlier, I don't want to coach, but there's no one available, so I have to coach. And we still have a shot at playoffs. Am I throwing in the towel? No, ma'am. I'm in there putting this work. I've been running the sim before we even been on this call. I'm still running the sim. I've been running the sims tonight, tomorrow, and the very next night. So you must have the skills and the dedication to do this. The same thing goes with the owner. You know, it takes a lot of dedication, especially when you see that $30 being direct deposit taken out of your account. That's dedication for me anyway, because I'm cheap like that. You know, so you know that's dedication to be able to you know, just in the skill set of, you know, having owners. You gotta have that skill set, because you're doing a lot, like Duane said, you got a lot more things going on. It's not like back in the day to where it was just you, maybe one other person, you named your players. Now you're doing with, you know, 23 personalities, and they all, you know, well, for us it's less than that, but people left. But for the most part, you got 20 plus people you got to talk to, you got to handle. Some people you can just chit chat with and that's it. Some people just show up for the games and that's it. Some people you got to be more hands on. They want to, you know, send DMs all the time, and you know, I know there's times to where you're like, the heck, oh man, how many times this dude gonna send DMs? But then you have to step back and realize, you know what, this is part of the experience. We don't know that he or she, you know, just has a simple question. And so it's almost like being in customer service. You got to be the customer service representative for the SFL, since they don't go to Cam because they'd rather go to you because you're the owner. And besides all that, but it also, I keep one last thing. I know I want to shortest that, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in this world, and we don't know mostly people we haven't met in person, and they might go into some issues, and the owner or another player, or say this you, the owner, you might be the only person to be able to talk to. Talk them off a ledge. And so I think about that too a lot. And I never had a serious situation, yet that, someone had come to me and say, hey, this is what's going on. Can you talk to me? But I've heard of situations where, owners had to talk to somebody on their team, talk them off a ledge, to prevent them from doing something crazy. And I think that's like Duane said, it's evolving. You can't just be as well about my team, my players, and that's it. Now you gotta wear many hats.
Got it. Jacob?
Like, the best example of the strength that is required for any owner in this league, because there's obviously, we saw with the previous question when we went around and everyone named one skill, it sort of was representative of their personality and certain things that would be reflected in their team, but may not necessarily be the same in their other team. But the main skill that you need to have as an owner is ultimately organization. And we're in an age in this league now where no team can operate as a one-man show, whereas in previous times, perhaps that was possible. And a few of the owners in this room can attest that there was a time where they would have basically done everything on their own. Now, just with an overflow of, or not necessarily an overflow, but enough assets available around the league to certainly offset that workload is now no longer a thing. But the strength is in itself is being able to organise the way that the team operates into a bit of a workflow for the week-to-week operations during the season, how the off-season is going to go, etc., and being able to fill out certain roles and specify what everyone is doing. Because I can speak to, I did one season where it was essentially me and myself running the whole team, and I don't know how any owner could do it now, where with the amount of things that are required, not just as the bare minimum as your responsibility as an owner, but now looking at where looking at Canton, for example, a team that's going above and beyond that minimum expectation as a team to market themselves as an organization. That's now where owners kind of need to be, and that's where it will be going at some point, where in the future, where teams are now going to have an opportunity to present themselves more and more in the open public. I mean, Andy secured a sponsor a season ago or so. Like, that's kind of where we're heading at now, where owners are going to need to be not just organizers but marketers. So that ability to organize a team from the ground up is crucial now more than ever.
Okay, gotcha. Bo, what do you think one should possess? What do you think one a skill that you should possess when being an owner?
Yeah, so this is a very, very serious question, because I don't know that there's just one. But for my ownership group, I think it's the ability to work together. So I would probably say togetherness, right? And that applies to not just owners. That applies to your team and eventually to the entire SFL. So the ability to work together and the ability to appreciate teamwork. And the reason why that's important, I really, really identify with what Jermaine was saying about needing to be, all things to a lot of people, because, one of the reasons why Alamo City, formerly Lone Star, usually has such great retention rates. And one of the reasons why people tend to want to come to ACA is because we develop a family type mentality. And that's not to say that other teams don't, but we understand that you're not going to win every game, right? And it's really hard to win a championship. It's really hard. So we try to base our team relationship around more than just winning a championship. Is that the ultimate goal? Absolutely. I mean, if it's not your goal, we don't want you on the team. And if you have no desire to win a championship, then you're probably doing the wrong thing. But at the same token, we try our best to create a family atmosphere. We're there for each other. We're there for each other. When, you know, we have things that go on in our locker room that a lot of times people don't even hear outside of our locker room because we deal with it internal. We laugh with each other. We sometimes cry with each other when people, you know, when people lose loved ones, when people's families break up, when a husband leaves a wife and a wife leaves a husband, or you know, when a friend goes to jail, whatever the case may be. We're there to support each other, and we have that togetherness. And not only that, especially with an ownership group of 5 people, that ability to work together comes in really important, because we have to be able to work together to come to a conclusion, because we don't have one owner who can, you know, basically just say this is the direction we're going. There are 5 of us, and so we have to all work together. And even though Albert and Yogi are majority owners, they do a very good job of making myself, Jukin, and Greg feel as though we have equal ownership, and they let us know that our vote matters and our you know, togetherness counts. So I would say, especially for ACA, but in general, in order to be successful as an owner, you have to be willing to work together as a team.
Gotcha. Now, gentlemen, I'm gonna continue on with this, but I do want to let you guys know that out of those I had 16 questions for you, but I'm gonna kind of scale it down because I'm looking at the time, and it is kind of, you know, it's a lot with 10 people. I should also say that Jacob Clear and Dion had to go, and so you of course you guys won't be seeing them, and they might pop back in, but just in case you're looking for them. Let's see, Andy.
Yeah, are we sticking with the same question?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I wanted to make sure before I start answering. Yeah, I think, you know, for me, I echo what everyone else has said. The ownership, you know, model has changed a lot since, you know, a lot of us got involved way back in the day. It used to be, you know, coaching was a prerequisite. That has kind of changed in a sense. I think it's not as vital, but certainly helps to be able to coach, especially if some of your staff leaves or abandons you, leaves you high and dry. The ability to coach is certainly helpful, although not a necessity anymore like it used to be one day. But I think overall, the most overarching kind of skill that is vital to being an owner is experience and patience. If you are experienced in this league, you have found your way through just about anything that the league can throw at you as an owner. And if you're patient in terms of you know, what may be happening in front of you, you can outlast maybe not knowing what's coming. There's a lot of teams who pop up who have a lot of losing seasons. And if you're patient enough to wade through those losing seasons, you will stand the test of time. If you're experienced enough to get yourself out of those losing situations, then you're going to be all right too, right? So I think the patience and the experience is what is driving the ownership group right now. And in the future, that may change. I think Jacob, you know, when he talks about being a marketer, I think that's going to be super important over the next 5 to 10 seasons of being an SFL owner. But for me, you know, that experience and the patience is also super important to that, from the standpoint that, you know, the reason that we got our sponsorship deal on our side, you can make the argument, is because I have the experience of working with sponsors every day, right? So I kind of have an understanding of an experience of what those sponsors may be looking for in a professional sports marketing sense. And so it gave me kind of an inside shoe to be able to present them the opportunity to sponsor the Vancouver Legion in a way for their business that would make sense and be beneficial for them. So that experience often be seen in different ways, but for me, the experience is a huge part of being an owner.
Okay, Axel.
To what Andrew just said, you know. No, I think I don't have anything that would beat the balance of patience and experience. I think those are exactly what two skills that you need on both sides of the thing. If you can tough it out, you gain the experience. If you have some good experience, you're able to then further see beyond the roadblocks that you're having to persevere through. I couldn't say it better.
All right, Damon.
Yoda, basically, as the other guy said, times has changed. Excuse me. Times has changed when it comes, when you start thinking about being an owner now. Back then, as an owner, you didn't have to do too much. You hardly had players on your team. When I started, I think I had maybe 2-3 players outside of myself on my team back in season 6 or so. But now, you're more intriguing into the entire community. And I think now the number one skill that an owner has to have is basically a business mindset, because that's where it's going to now. We all see that teams have these different brands, and they're building their brands, getting corporate sponsorships and stuff like that. You have your own stores out. You see Bo with Alamo shirt on. You see Chiz has his sale going on. He's marketing at 20% off. He even got the code up there for you to get another percentage and stuff like that. So you got to have that business mindset and marketing, just as Jacob and Andy illustrated. I'm not a marketing guy. I took a marketing class. I hated it, but I am a people person. So, I can chime in a little bit on it or whatever, but I'm not more into that, that side of it. And I do have a guy that's on staff or whatever, which is our business manager, who is a core adminner, who is setting up some things in the background for us. So you got to have someone that's in that field that's, that can basically market your program. So I definitely agree with that, because back then we marketed ourselves just by reposting the game. When Cam sent out the link, I'll take the link and I'll put it on my Facebook or my Instagram page or my Twitter and stuff like that. Like if you go to my video I had when I did a press conference of me being an owner or something like that, right? I stated that I was going to post it on all of my social media. In the first couple of seasons I did that, but it wasn't recommended, but it helped out the league. A lot of my friends was like, what is this? Why you keep posting this every weekend? So, but I was just telling them, hey, check it out, man. If you like it, swing by, holler at us or whatever, if not, it's up to you. But yeah, that's that. And skills for an owner, for a coach, as Jermaine said, you gotta have that grind. As I've stated multiple times, man, I'm up 2:30, sometimes at night. Last night I was up to 2:00. Didn't even pay attention to the time because I'm sitting here messing with my playbook, and I'm running a sim as well. And looking at that and making sure that thing is on point. But unless you're Ramos and your T-Pad where you're only running 8 sims a week, Ramos says you don't run them at all sometimes. But but when you're in my situation, when you have fell off a couple of seasons, and you're trying to get back on track, as we are this season, you got to be up that late, just to make sure that you're on perfection,
Gotcha. Eddie.
Actually, if I'm being honest, Andrew stole my answer in regards to patience.
Mm-hmm.
For coaches, you're not going to come out the gate, knowing what you're doing, which is why I always find it funny when people in Gen Chat, stuff like that, say, oh, such and such team sucks, such and such team sucks. Why don't you try it? Or when you got players who, like this season, complaining about, why they, player isn't performing up to a certain level, or the team isn't performing to a certain level. Unless you're willing to get in the gym and grind with me, I'm not trying to hear it. It takes so much patience. It's crazy. I mean, when I first took the job of being a DC, you know, I had experience being in TJ's league, but I was always known for my defense over there. So the defense came natural. But when I got ownership, I was trying to hire somebody because I didn't want anything to do with it. And I wish I'd have took Mark's advice, who told me back then, Eddie, you got to learn how to do it yourself, just in case, you know, those guys leave or need to take a break, whatever the case may be. Your team won't skip a beat. And I shied away from it and said, no, I don't want no part of them. I'm going to hire somebody. That didn't work out. And then his replacement quit at the end of the season and said, you know, Eddie, you deserve better, you know. And so I ended up doing it myself, only because when I interviewed, only one person applied, and he told me, I don't have time to actually be doing this. You know, I got a lot of stuff going on, but I'll fill it if you want me to. And I felt the team deserved better. So I said, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna give it a shot. And you saw what happened. We sucked. And you threw 1 million interceptions when I first took over offense. But, you know, I stuck with it, and I told the team, hey, guys, you know, please don't give up on me, because I'm not going to give up on this. And I just strive to become better at it. And I think now we're doing pretty good. I think we're okay now. I can still get better. I can always improve, but that stands for pretty much anybody in this league. So for coaching, I would say patience. But also you got to educate yourself, because there's things that I did not know about offense and defense. And I reached out to people who were a lot more savvy and experienced than I was, and said, hey, I need to get better at this, because I got 23 people in our locker room who depend on me to get wins. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't happen, I can only point the finger at myself if they're progressing. And so I reached out to guys like Mark. I reached out to guys like Damon. I reached out to guys like Max Paul. Like, I've even asked Andy a few questions, and because I needed help. You know, I couldn't do it alone. And through that, and through practice and running sims when people sleep, me actually, I was traveling my dog on Xbox for a long time, and for my job, and I just it weren't enough hours in a day. But I knew if I was going to get better at this, you got to dedicate the time to get better, and, you know, see what works, see what doesn't work. And so I'm getting kind of long-winded on that. But as far as ownership goes, you got to take pride and know pretty much every role. And you can't do it yourself, but you need to be educated. And like Bo alluded to earlier, all the ins and outs of the SFL, you got to know the rules. You got to know how to progress players. You got to know, what the league expects of you. You got to know what's expected of each player. You have to know everything about this league if you're going to excel. And then when you hire your staff, you got to make sure that they know, which is why I do things like post things in our general, when I post things where you guys can see them, and and things like that. So, and I make sure that you guys know what's going on, so that you know how to, do your job. And like whoever it was that said earlier, you can't do it all yourself, because I tried, and I woke up one day, I think it was like week 10 or something like that, and I just remember crying. And I couldn't figure out why I was crying. And it turned out because I was just burned out from trying to do it all myself. And I said, okay, Ashley, I need to just go ahead and let you grow and do your thing, and let DJ grow and do his thing, and let everyone who has their role do their things. I was trying to do it all: social media, GM, coach, ownership, all of that. And I just could not do it. And I had to learn to delegate. So I'm getting kind of long-winded, but there you have it. Also, in regards to the sponsorship thing, what the league is going on, I'm in agreement with that too. So,
okay, this is why I scaled them questions down. But one big question I definitely wanted most of you guys in here to answer was, how do you feel about the switch to 4K? How 4K 23 was actually introduced to the league? We all know that change was inevitable. We all knew that at some point we would have to move on from All Pro, because we have reached its limit. We've reached its max. But the way it was announced, the way it was brought down to the ownerships, the league, What are your thoughts on it? And I'm going to start with Mark first on this. You might be muted. Mark?
He's trying to get promo for that 20% off sale.
I'm coming.
Okay.
So I guess my first question is, when was the ownership group notified that we were switching?
When they weren't. You just say, hey, this is what's happening.
What he's saying is officially, there was never an official announcement. It was just, here you go.
Okay. So how do y'all feel about that?
Next question. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Okay. That's fair. Jermaine?
Well, kind of fair because I'm part of league staff and I knew about it since end of August, early September 2022. I got a hold of, I saw a video and then I was on their server and I went to tell Cam about it, but he already had the head start. Well, actually I told Damon about it and next you know, it was like, oh, Cam, he's already started. It's okay. Well, talked to Cam a little bit and all right, then I got into the group, the testing group to test things out, see how to design uniforms and, just learn, what's the ins and outs of this game. And I'm still part of that group. And so, but yeah, it's just, I look at it like this. To me, me personally, I think we should wait till season 22. And I say that because if we're going to make this switch, I think you should give everyone enough to first of all, make an official announcement and then say season 22. And the reason why is because, we made some changes to our team to where had we known that we was going to go to season 22, go to the 2K4 and season 21, we might have made those adjustments. We would have just kept it busy or kept it the same. But, it's over with now. That's one reason. Some teams may not have had some plans. They want to do something with their players, might change some things around. In their mind, they're thinking, okay, we're going to continue on 2K8. And as you know, you get hit off with that 2K4 and you're like, hold on, what's up with this? Something else too is the financial part of it. Some people need new computers. Some people need an Xbox to be able to do this stuff. Lucky for me, I built a powerful machine 5 years ago to where I didn't skip a beat. I just jumped on and kept it moving. But some of these guys, especially young guys who don't make that much money, they may not have the luxury of doing that. So they got to either find a way to do it or maybe pay somebody to do uniforms for them. So, it may not be what they want. I don't want to go any further because I want everybody else to share their views on it. I just think, me personally, I've never been asked, but I think this is the thing. We should wait to season 22 to give everyone just ample time to get the money right. And they have to just pay someone to do those uniforms. If they have to buy a machine, they have to buy an Xbox or a PC, what have you. Give them the time to get prepared.
Andrew?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about not only the rollout, but the game in general. I think the one thing which Jermaine and everyone who spoke so far kind of hit on the head was just that the rollout was not segmented in a way that was beneficial to the group that is quote unquote leading. Now, let me dive into that a little bit. From leadership standpoint, right, you have the leaders of the entire league, right? So that's Cam, and then you have league staff, right, which then lead the ownership group and support staff, and then you have the owners, which lead the teams, right? And that can encompass GMs, front office, really kind of anyone, head coaches, anyone you want to include in there, right? All the way down to you have the general players who, in a sense, are kind of leading the SFLm players, right? Everyone, I should say, got all the information at once, right? Which to me is not a great way to roll out something that you're trying to get people behind in terms of a big change. The ability to roll something out that the masses support needs to be done at a lot of different levels, in my opinion, from the standpoint that we're all looking at the game differently. The rollout was very heavy on you can put your logos in the stadium and on your uniforms, right? Your real logos, which is great. And I think that is something that All Pro could never do for us, and was a point that the league staff wanted to make an emphasis on for a marketing and branding initiative. I think 2K4, while graphically is not a step up from 2K8, right? You can do the simple math on how many years in advance 2K4 was graphically designed from 2K8. But in terms of logos, you can put that on the field and on the helmet, which is a native that is accomplished with the Switch. But outside of that, I think the league did not have a lot of information on other important parts. I am a coach first and foremost at heart, and I still don't know what in the new game was tested in terms of home field advantage, playbooks, the ability to switch the animations and abilities and attributes that our players have now into 2K4. That's all still stuff that's being worked out, right? I know there was a testing group. I still don't have a list of who was in that testing group. I'm sure it's floating out there somewhere, but the league has not provided it to us. I'm not sure what was tested. I'm not sure how in-depth it was tested. I don't know any of that information, right? I was just given, here's a new game, have fun, look, you can put your logo in it. That is for the league's standpoint, and when I say the league, I mean everyone involved, not just the staff, not just Cam. I think for the league as an at-large, what that did was it showed them a piece of this new game, but did not show them the whole picture. And transparently, I think we're still yet to see the whole picture. So when Jermaine says, that we're moving fast on it, I would tend to agree with that. We're supposed to launch in less than 6 months a brand new game, and yet we have not really tested a ton of it. And I think that is a major problem, and one that, while I trust the league staff to overcome that hurdle, I truly believe that we're in a place now with the league that we would not need to overcome that hurdle. We should have been more prepared for it in advance. I think from a game standpoint, you said, Ashley, that we have kind of pushed 2K8 to its limit. And while I do agree on that, I think what we have right now is not necessarily broken. We watch new stuff literally week over week. I broadcast games a couple times every couple weeks this season because I've been busy. But it seems like every game I watch, I see something brand new in 2K8. And while I think that 2K8 has some flaws, so will 2K4. And I think that the idea that, we're getting rid of all of these problems is not a realistic one. I think what we are going to see is different problems. And what concerns me on the front end with the route, to kind of get back to your main question, and then I'll cede. What concerns me with the rollout was that there was not a lot of details on what was tested, how thoroughly it was tested, and how that's going to affect everything that the SFL has built now for 20 seasons, 19 if you want to include the first season, which one NCAA 14. But instead, we were kind of flashed the shiny parts of 2K4, right? The logos on the field, this situation mode, and other things, and kind of, pulled over to the right. And on the left-hand side, there was still stuff that we, or at least I, as an owner, kind of cared about and do care about. And we still don't have answers now, a couple months later.
Okay. Kristian.
I don't have enough information to really give an opinion. To me, it's kind of like when your favorite NFL team cuts a guy and he's one of your best players, and everybody gets upset. Oh, why did we cut him? You know, he's one of our best guys. And then you find out over the offseason that he had some kind of a physical ailment that you as the fan were you were unaware of. And this player is never going to be the same again. But the people at that team, they knew, the trainers knew, they all knew, and that's why they cut the guy. I kind of feel like this is that exact same situation. I don't know why the decision makers around this did what they did. And until I have that information, I really can't give a good opinion anyway. So.
Okay. Demand.
Yoda. I was I think I had scrolled across a video of 2K4 on YouTube, and I think Cam ended up calling me, or I ended up calling him, and then he ended up breaking the news to me that, you know, we was moving to it or whatever. Then I started to do my research on it, and, you know, see what all, you know, what's going on within the game or so. I thought originally it was going to be 2K5. I'm pretty sure everyone here knows, you know, the gameplay of 2K5 is a whole lot better than 2K4. But to my understanding, I was informed that the reason we're moving to 2K4 is because there was some bugs found within 2K5, especially within online play during simulation. Now, user versus user, I was told that the gameplay is great, but, you know, CPU versus CPU, not so much. But I'm with the other three that have spoken on it. The way it was presented to us was like, hey, here's your dinner. Let's see if you like it or not, you know, whatever. And, you know, you just gave me Alpo, you know, and told me it was stew. So, but what I'm basically saying about that is that it was like, here you go, take it. You can eat it or not, you know, but no matter what, we're moving on to it, you know. Now, do I want to move on to something a little bit different than APF? Yes. Reason being is because APS is doing some really stupid stuff, game management wise, you know, and the turnover margin in this game is just ridiculous. You know, you got quarterbacks throwing 30 interceptions a season, and that's just too much. You know, 6-7 interceptions, you know, at times or so. It's just too much. But I'm like, Andy, you know, we was not given the details as far as what was tested in this. You know, in APF, anytime a rule change came about, especially when, you know, we talked about changing the different type of running backs. Okay, well, let's do a change. I mean, let's test this. Before we went over to Legends settings, okay, let's test it home field advantage wise or whatever. They broke down the percentages to it. Now, it wasn't just one person doing the testing. It was quite a bit of people doing the testing within that testing stage there. So I'm with Andy on that part. I wish they would have presented a little bit more. I wish they would have gave us the names of those who were, you know, testing out or so. You know, who are these people? We don't know. You just say that you got a group of guys that already has the game, you know, who's doing the testing or so. But I think it was just presented to us in a real crappy way.
Okay. Bo.
And I'm with Jermaine also. Sorry, I'm with Jermaine also as far as, you know, making sure that everyone is able to get the equipment for it, because if you don't have an Xbox, you know, Series S or X, or if you don't have a gaming PC, you're not going to be able to do anything with this game outside of just look at the dump files. You know, you're not going to be able to run Sims if you don't have that equipment or so. You know.
Okay.
Let me cut in just for 1 second. I want to add on to that because Damon is, I've shared my screens with him to see what I'm doing. You know, either with my editor, I'm creating his uniforms too. And the thing is, the part I'm worried about more than anything is there's a lot of files that you have to juggle. And I'm concerned with how people are going to handle. It's hard enough now people can do the uniform files right, can see me the codes right. That's a struggle in itself. People send me a bootleg pictures, unclear picture of a screen, screenshot of the code, and I got to guess is that a Q, is that an O? Or they do the uniforms incorrectly, I got to go in there and fix it. That's just an APF. With this game, a uniform set, okay? You got 6 files dedicated for the helmet, You've got 4 files dedicated for away uniforms and 4 more dedicated for the home, because you got two for each. You got 2 that's basically for when you're playing a game, another uniform file when you're running a replay, and then the same thing except for you got mud on your uniform, and when you're playing a rain game, you start getting mud. So you got 4 files for each uniform, a total of 8 per set. So you got 6 files for your helmet. You've got 8 files for your jerseys alone, and then you've got 4 for your pants, and then you've got 2 for your socks, and then you got all the files that for the stadiums. And if you want to have multiple uniforms, multiply what I just said times 2, times 3, times 4. I'm only rolling 3 uniform sets. I ain't gonna be on 6 and 7. Nope. Because it's a lot of files to juggle, and I'm just worried that people are gonna mess it up, and you're gonna come on the field on a game day. You're gonna see Tallahassee coming out with green draws on or something, because the files gonna be mixed up. And I already know it's gonna happen. Cam's gonna try to check through this all. I know he is. He's gonna do his best. But even me, yesterday, I was organizing things, and I realized, oh snap, I'm supposed to have 4 uniforms, total of 8 files for a uniform set, and I only got 7. And I realized I had to go through my little ways of figuring out what's that 8th file, and I found it, took care of it. That's me doing it. What if someone else who's not knowledgeable of this, what are they gonna run into? What if Cam misses it? That's all.
So, how do you think? What are your thoughts on how the game was presented?
Yeah, so my answer to that is going to be kind of really short, kind of similar to what Kristian was saying earlier, because, take away me and myself and Kristian and looking at the remaining gentlemen on the panel, you've got like 70 seasons of experience in the SFL. Okay, so all of these guys here are way more experienced than I am. And, as far as how it was presented to me, I really can't tell you, because I'm not as ingrained into SFL as these gentlemen are. So when I found out about it, was like, oh, okay, so we're moving. All right, that's weird. That was fast. Okay, but that was pretty much the extent of it. So I'll just defer to what these gentlemen said, who've got a lot more experience than I do in it. But what I will say is that as far as Jermaine, what he was saying, that's a very valid point about the point of entry, and as far as those people who want to get involved in coaching and get involved in ownership and things of that sort, as far as having the game and the software. But the way it was presented, was it fast? Yes. It was extremely fast. I'm trying to have faith that the reason it was fast was because it had to be. Do I know why it had to be so fast? I don't. But I gotta believe that it had to be done for whatever reason. He had to do it that fast, because otherwise, why would he?
Good point. Eddie.
I'm gonna try to keep it I'm gonna try to not to get suspended, but okay, first of all, I knew for a while last season that Cam was testing 2K5 because he told me. But every time I talked to him, he would run into an issue, but then he would find a way around it and kept moving. And, I would check in every now and then, see how it was going. Because I was hoping it failed. I'm just keep it 100 because I didn't want to move. But then he would find something and, he was back on schedule. But then at one point, he told me, Eddie, it didn't work out. There's some things about the game they didn't like in regards to quarterback completion percentage was below 50% or something like that for most teams, if not all of them, along with some other things they didn't like about it. And so I thought that was that. And then literally, and maybe my math is wrong, I'm getting a little bit old in the tooth, but I would swear that after he told me 2K5 was done, it couldn't have been more than a month 6, maybe 8 weeks later, 2K4 is coming, Eddie, and that's where we're going. I'm like, wait, what? I thought you just said a minute ago 2K5 was done. And he goes, well, we did all this extensive testing. Extensive testing, bro, we've been running 2K8 since freaking for 20 seasons now. And we still seeing stuff we haven't seen before. But all of a sudden, you've done enough testing in these past couple of months that makes you confident to switch to an entire new game? What? No, man, I just can't buy into that. And second, you know, not to offend anybody, but I can't help it but to say it without offending someone. And I'm sorry, but some of the people who are on that team of doing the testing, no, bro, no. Like there's a couple of them I respect. Don't get me wrong, but some of them, that guy's testing. Wait a minute, that guy's testing. What is he testing? What makes you confident in whatever he's reporting back to you? No, bro, no. And I'm sorry, this is not to offend anybody, but if we're gonna make a major move like that, then you need to have people like T-Pat testing. You need to have people like, now I agree with Ramos, you know, he a dog, you know, he know what he's doing. People who've been here for a while, who've seen the, you know, what the game is supposed to do, what it's not supposed to do. You need to have people like that testing, not this guy, and this guy. No, I can't get on board with that. Now, if you're talking about changing a rule and you got X, Y, and Z testing, that's one thing. But you're talking about moving over to a completely new game and you got this guy, and this guy tested. And then doing a broadcast that you posted live, everybody come here and see what y'all been working on. Some of these same people who testing, we can't see the field. And y'all been doing this testing all this time. And it take coaches who just popped up in here to see this for the first time saying, yo, I can't diagnose what play the defense is in. What are they running? I don't know. And they've been here for 7 weeks now, and they didn't pick up on that. But that's your tester? No, bro. And then to have them, when it's called out to them, they say, well, if they follow them, it's man. But if they don't, it's zone. Okay, so what if they don't go in motion, the receiver that is? Then what is it? I couldn't tell you. And they couldn't either. But they ran all these tests for weeks. And now coaches are supposed to just get over here and get in line and say, all right, we rolling with that. Now, thank God they fixed the issue with the camera angle so we can identify the plays. But y'all been doing this for weeks and y'all didn't catch that? Come on, bro. Ramos didn't catch that and he a dog. Come on, man. What is it you want to move to it because you just want to move to it because you don't like 2K8? That's one thing. But come on, bro. You got to have all your ducks in order. And for you to come out here and say, okay, we're moving to this, that's it, and that's all. And then us as owners, you know, for a long time, forgive me, Cam, but Cam referred to us as business partners for a long time. I never took that in stride. I never even accepted that because I know deep down in my heart, we aren't. We are VIP customers as owners. We are. And I'm getting off track and I don't want to do that. But we are not business partners. So don't tell me that. If we were business partners, we would have had some kind of conversation before you said, okay, y'all, we moving to 2K4. Doggone T-Pat and TJ found out about the move the day it was really, sometime when it was released. They knew nothing about them testing. And they one of the prestigious owners in this league. And they didn't know, you know, that this change was coming. Come on, man. No, you can't do this to me like that. I'm trying not to get emotional, okay, but I've invested a lot of my life into this league, a lot of my time into this league, a lot of my free time that I could be spending with my family into this league. I painted my room, my damn team colors. You know, I got the A up there. You know, I invested a lot of my time and my life in this league, and then for them to say we move into that, and we've tested everything. We know it's great for the league. Yes, we can put logos, all the positive things that Andy pointed out. Yes, that's great. Sponsorship potential, that's awesome. We can put they stuff on the field, helmets, whatever you want to do, put it on. That's awesome. But man, look at that game play out and take the numbers off those players and tell me if you can tell me a receiver from an offensive lineman. You can't. They all big as hell. And then the players move, it's not fluid. So all the stuff, you can show me fans walking into the stadium, going through the turnstile, sitting in the crowd, going to grab popcorn. You can show me all the field and all these logos everywhere. That's great. But like I was telling Bo the other day, it's about the gameplay for me. Yes, we can call timeouts and they do all that stuff. Great. That part of it is fantastic. That's awesome. That, you know, they better utilize timeouts and all of that stuff. But them players, man, they look like, my God. And then they promote it. You know what? I don't want to say nothing else because I'm gonna get G-checked and suspended or some nonsense. So I'm gonna just leave it at that.
So I will say this before I let Duane speak on this. I brought this up because it is obviously something that is bothering a lot of the more seasoned members of the league that has been here for a while. I do recognize by being a league staff member, by being an owner, by being a player, that this is going to have an effect on a lot of people. I don't want it to be perceived as a gotcha question. I don't want it to be perceived as something that will get people into trouble. But I think it's important to allow the people that you have been with for a long time to get out their frustrations so that you can understand why people are having these feelings. Now, later on in the season, actually probably after, he told me after, I'm going to have Cam on. We always do a show together. And I will be asking him these questions that you guys have. Perhaps he doesn't have, when you guys were asking in the rooms and when you were asking in the chats, perhaps he probably just didn't have the answer. He didn't know how to answer. Just like the questions that I provided for you tonight, gentlemen. You were prepared for this. And I wanted to make sure that he will also have that chance to be able to address things in the manner and address you in the manner that I know that he can. And so I thank you guys for being so candid. I thank you for really expressing your emotions and your voices because it is important.
Ash, why are you talking so slow?
Because I
Stop
know
playing, yo. You horsing around.
I know
Let's
I know the
Stop.
feelings. I know the feelings.
The feeling is real. So keep with it. Stop. Don't go with the slow nonsense for Cam. Fuck that. Talk.
I
You
am
on the show,
talking.
right?
Hold
Let's
on,
keep
hold
it
on.
going.
Bro. First off, you said what you said, which wasn't nothing. So I'm gonna say what I said, and I'm gonna let Duane go ahead and speak now.
But speak how we speak. That's all I'm
I
saying.
am.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Come on.
This is
Ash.
me. This is me.
Come on.
You didn't even.
You
Oh,
should
I'm
have
sorry.
heard.
Did you say anything about it, or did you just say you just here to show you wouldn't get fined? So
I
you
said,
didn't even have
all
an
I'm
point.
asking you to
You
do is
didn't have
speak.
an opinion about it.
For
So don't be
real.
trying to come up here and try to tell me how I'm supposed to be talking on my own show.
You know how we speak. That's all I'm saying.
That's cool. And I let y'all speak. You decided that you didn't want to. That's cool too. Now, Duane, go ahead.
Wow. So yeah. Well, first of all, Ashley, I do respect you having us on here to give our perspectives and allowing us to give our perspectives, and that was a big reason why I wanted to be on here. And I'm glad that we have so many different people of so many different levels of experience and walks of life on here. I think it does give a little bit of a overall picture of the league that we don't always get a chance to give. But I don't know. Honestly, I don't think I have the same perspective a lot of the people do, because as far as the rollout goes, I mean, honestly, the rumor mill with other channels that people. So yeah, you got my part about what I said about allowing us to give our perspective. But yeah, so I think that, you know, I've known that Cam was looking to move to another game for the longest period of time, and so I don't think it really caught me off guard in terms of, I knew it eventually was going to happen. You know, you hear things about certain things that you're like, no, that doesn't make any sense, and then something happens. So I'm a little used to maybe being a big moves coming down the pike. There's been quite a few big moves that I've been a part of, moving to from non-user players to all user players. The move to progression. I honestly, the first, you know, when we did the progression meeting, if we didn't have anything on paper in front of us, and Andrew Rastelli was reading it out, and he lost me after about 30 seconds. So I'm like, I don't understand what he's talking. And then I'll just come out and say, the first time I looked through the rules and I looked through what they gave us to build a team with, I made the comment in the owner's channel, how the hell do you actually build a team with this system? I don't understand this. So I think there are it's only natural that there's going to be a lot of unknowns. There's going to be a lot of confusion. There's going to be a lot of things that maybe there's answers to, or maybe there's things that are being investigated, or maybe there's questions that people didn't think to ask. But since I've been a part of this league, I mean, there's been reactions that, you know, this is going to be the end of the league as we know it. We're not going to get anybody to continue on. We're going to lose everybody. I've heard that over and over again, and the league's only gotten better and stronger and more interesting and more diverse. So I'm optimistic. I mean, honestly, I haven't had, because we're right in the middle of a big move of offices at my job, I haven't really had as much time to look into it. And I think there's a lot of natural questions, but I have had some conversations with Cam, and I know that he's had a lot of smart people looking into things and working on this for a very long time. He didn't come to this lightly. This is the third time he's actually changed games, because he started out with Backbreaker and then went to NCAA 14, and now we're on All Pro Football 2K8. So I'm really honestly trusting the process and taking it as it comes. I mean, whenever there's been like a confusing situation, or a situation where you know, where there was a lot that needed to be looked at, or there needed to be last term adjustments, or we were up against a tight time frame, we've always found a way to get through those situations and get on to the next season and get everything ironed out. So I know that there's going to be a little bit of heated discussion at times. I know there's going to be a little bit of hurdles, and you know, sometimes it can get a little bit intense because it does seem like such a big change. But I mean, honestly, I've kind of been through this a few times, so I'm just going to trust the process, roll with the punches, and see see where we're at, and I know we'll at the end of season 21, we'll assess where we're at and know where we're moving on from there. And I can pretty much guarantee there's going to be a season 22 regardless. So that's my perspective. I know that's a little bit different. I respect everybody else's opinion, but I just don't have the kind of strong feelings on the way it was rolled out that a lot of other people do. But I do understand those perspectives.
Hey, and that's what this is about. This is about taking the time out to understand everybody and where they're coming from. Because not everybody is cut from the same cloth. So, do you think this ownership group is, as it stands, is capable of being business partners for the SFL? We all say that we want to be looked at as business partners, but can you really say?
Hell no.
Nope.
No.
Why?
No, and no.
Why is that?
Just go in the owner's room and look. That's all.
Go in the owner's room and look.
For those that can't.
There are people in that owner's channel, and age has nothing to do with this because Ramos is one of the more classiest owners in there, and I think he might be the youngest. What is he, 20, 22, whatever heck he is? There are some immature people in that owner's channel who do not need to be in there, and I've said it many times, and I ain't scared to say it. We have owners in that channel who do not need to be in there, period.
Okay. Jermaine?
Same thing I said the last video you had. This is immaturity, posting memes. We're supposed to be business partners. We should be talking about, okay, good game, this and that, but the rest of the conversation should be about, okay, how are we gonna make the league better? We should be communicating with each other. That's what it should be. It shouldn't be cats in there posting memes and cracking jokes. And I mean, occasional here and there, but like I said, I'm really in that room. I'll say good game, and that's about as far as you'll hear from me because I don't need to be involved in that. But yeah, there's gentlemen in that room, and like you said, Ramos is like 24, 25, and he's mature. But I say about 60% of the guys in that room, they shouldn't be in that room, and they're not mature enough to be business owners. Granted, I'm basing that by what I see and what I hear. Looking at the chat, they could be totally different when they're offline because some people do that. They jump online and be one way and they're different when they're offline. But what I see, based on my perspective, no, ma'am, they can't. No.
Okay. Mark.
What's up, Ash? That's gonna be probably a no for me too. I mean, everybody has potential. They just need to be taught. You know what I'm saying? If they don't know, we only know what we know. So if the group was willing to go through some kind of training, which I think we all could, absolutely. I think we're a group of people with the same interests at heart. We could make this happen.
Okay.
And it's not to interrupt. I'm sorry, not to interrupt, but it was something as soon as Mark said it, as soon as it popped in my head right before he said it. I never forget when Mark correct me. But I remember, I think it was the second convention, you were trying to get a leadership conference or like a personal development speaker at that second conference.
At the Atlanta convention, yes.
Yeah, you want to have, I think something like that. I think at this convention, if we can get somebody or can get someone, hey, have a business mindset, a business acumen that can come in and have an hour free tutorial on leadership, on just owning a business or something. I mean, there's plenty of books out there, by John C. Maxwell, Anthony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Jeff Olson, Dale Carnegie, how to win friends and influence people. There's books out there. But yeah, that would be a great idea that Mark told me many years ago. And I think we could have something like that for this upcoming convention, if that's possible.
Okay. What about you, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go the exact opposite way on this. I think, and I hope that everyone will kind of hear out all points here. I think that when we talk about being business partners, the first and foremost part of that is the actual business part. The first and foremost for every owner and every team in the league is, can you actually bring in a revenue that can help your team? Right now, operating costs of the simulation football league and a franchise in the league are incredibly low. It is under $200 a season, under $400 a year to run an SFL franchise, right? Now there's investments you can do to increase that amount per year, right? That are smart. There are ways that you can get by for a little bit less, right? You can have co-owners and split that cost amongst those people. But really, if we want to be business partners with the league, we need to have ways to generate revenue as teams. And like Mark and Jermaine and Eddie have said, I think there are individuals who have shown with words that they are capable maybe of handling that business acumen. But I think the other part which everyone needs to kind of consider is that for a lot of people, this is a hobby first and foremost. And so the way that they're approaching all these conversations and all these jokes and memes and stuff are from the standpoint that they believe that it's a hobby, right? They are not necessarily looking at everything with the mindset that, hey, this is a business. I need to make money off of this and I need to be professional. I'll give a perfect example and I'll use myself as the example. My everyday life, right, is working with businesses, with sponsors of the University of Florida. I'm on an average of 3 to 4 calls with sponsors a day, or with our salesmen who then are going to go talk to the sponsors about everything that I tell them. You wouldn't be able to tell that I'm a super professional individual from a lot of my conversations and jokes in the Discord channel, because I utilize that as an opportunity for me to kind of separate myself and make jokes and laugh with some of my friends, right? But when it comes down to the business of the SFL, I'm incredibly serious. Our deal with King's Coast Coffee, the ownership groups knows this because I sent them a redacted version of the deck that I sent that potential sponsor with everything that we could offer them asset-wise, why it would be beneficial to their business, who I am, why I know it will be successful, as well as different entry points for SFL fans to not attack, but utilize that business and see success for the business. Not necessarily, hey, here's what I want from you, but more so, hey, here's how I can help you guys be successful. If someone looked at that deck and looked at some of the jokes I made in the Discord channel, they might see a disconnect there, right? But the thing that I think is so important is my ability to flip back between the two and understand that, hey, this is a hobby. We should be having fun with it. But when it comes to making money and being a business partner to my other co-owners, to my players as a team owner, I'm incredibly serious and professional about that. And any meeting that I need to be at and be professional in, I'm happy to do so. And I think that is kind of the area where us as team owners have an opportunity to attack and showcase that we can be business partners if they have the right skill set. That's a special skill set. And I commend Mark for, taking the opportunity and attempting to set up a situation to, try and help some individuals who that may not be their forefront of opportunity. And I did something similar in offering to the owners that, hey, if anyone needs advice or information on how to market your team to potential sponsors, that I was willing to help. And I had 1 or 2 owners take me up on that. No one else out of the group even messaged me with questions or thoughts or anything. And that's everyone's prerogative. I'm not upset about that at all. But I think my point is that the opportunity is there within that group to be business partners if that's something that we want. In that sense of the word, I think there are other senses of the word business partner, and that's partly where we're getting off a little bit in terms of what people think we may or may not be able to do from the league standpoint, because the league has its own business partners, right, at a certain level. And I don't know if we're there at that level. So there's kind of 2 different thought processes here. But I think, the opportunity to make money and be part of the league and cover even just your operating expenses as a team owner, certainly there. And that opportunity is wide if you are able to kind of flip that switch and understand and attack that sponsorship opportunity. And I'm open to assisting people with that. I'm not the genius of the matter. I know a little bit about something, but not everything. And I'm open to helping, and in a very small sense of the word, be a partner as an owner to other owners to help their business. And those 2 or 3 owners who messaged me about my thing can attest. I didn't ask for anything in return. I just wanted to help. And I think that's important for us as owners, to be willing to help other people and support other people's business ventures. I think that's a great form of partnership as well.
Okay. Kristian.
The simple answer, no. Does the group as it stands, are we capable of being business partners for the SFL? Yeah, no.
Oh, good points, by the way, from everybody thus far.
So the short answer to your question, Ashley, is I don't have enough information to make that answer. And to be honest, I don't think that anybody does. And the reason behind that is none of us know each other well enough to say whether or not we'd be good business partners. None of us know. At the end of the day, we can decide whether or not to be business partners with Cam, but for us to decide whether or not this entire group of ownership is business partner worthy, I think that takes a lot more information than what we have, because you all don't know me at all. You know, like I don't even know if Eddie Gage's real name is Eddie Gage. Like, how could I know if he's a good business partner? And I think that's unfair to try to ask that question when we don't really know each other. So a better discussion would be our relationship with Cam and whether or not Cam thinks he can work with us as individuals. Now, there's no law that says that we as owners have to like each other, right? All we have to do is be able to communicate with each other to come to some sort of conclusion when matters arise that need to be discussed. There's no rule that says we have to like each other, but if we are to be business partners, our business acumen has to be rated, qualified, and quantified as to what we are and who we are to determine whether or not we are proper business partner candidates. And none of that's been done. So the entire SFL has to go through a huge growth process in all of our parts, not just us as owners, but Cam as well, because like Kristian was bringing out, the LAA leaves a lot to be desired. That LAA was developed by the league. So if Kristian says that LAA leaves a lot to be desired, then that means that there has to be growth on the SFL's part too. So everybody in the league needs to grow if we're going to switch this approach it as a business. So as of right now, you can understand why some people view it as a hobby, because to a lot of people, that's all that it is. And for the most part, that's all it's been. So it would take a complete paradigm shift for us to change to be quote unquote business partners. And if that paradigm shift happens, you'd be surprised that number one, there'd be some turnover because there'd be some owners who did not agree with the paradigm shift. But number two, you would be surprised at the cream that would rise to the top. And all of a sudden the owners could get along because they would then be business partners rather than what they think they are now.
Okay. Good points. Duane and Damon, did y'all go yet?
No, I haven't gone. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Damon has it either.
I haven't either, but I'm good.
Okay. Well, I think honestly, it all depends on what you see your role is as an owner. I know that I didn't even fathom anything about making any money off of this league when I joined. And when I joined it, it was a totally different business model for this league. And, like Kristian said, it's when I'm at work, there's people I don't get along with too well. There's senior people in the company that in the time I've been at my current job the last 10 years that have done some downright nasty things I have no respect for as a human being. But I have to find a way to get along with that person because they make the company money, and they're needing my help, and my skills and experience are appreciated by them because it helps them get their job done, and I get a paycheck because of that. And I don't think you have that kind of mentality when you have people paying to play a game, and their only interaction with the vast majority of the people in the community is through the internet, and it's only one side of our personality, like several people have mentioned. Andy said it really well, as and then there's different skills in business. Like Kristian said, we don't know what people are like and what skills and background and what perspective that they have. We only know who they are by how they represent themselves, or what we perceive of them by the way their team performs, or whatever, kind of superficial reasons that we see when we interact with them through the league. So I do know that there's opportunities there to offset costs and make money. And we found a sponsorship. I actually had to seek out at the rebranding was basically a lot of legwork on my off time by me personally to find the artists, work with the artists, bring things back and forth, and get that done. And that was 3 weeks where I was basically working a second job to get that done. And the result of that is that we tripled in less than a year what we've ever made in terms of revenues from merchandise, because people like that branding. And and building a brand, I think building a brand and building a reputation for your team, me and Colin at least have seen that more as a way of promoting the league and trying to bring about more of a sustainability for the league. Because at the end of the day, the biggest thing most of us want is just for the league to stick around, and for the league to continue to grow and do all the things that people enjoy, putting on these conventions and getting on television and bringing in promotions. That all takes money, and all takes networking. And I think that there are a lot we can offer in the way of business skills to the league, but we're not at that level. The league has its own investment group. The league has its own staff members. That's what I see as the business end of the league. As an owner, I see myself as being a representative of the league. The LAA to me is, I'm seen as like at least a high-end long-term customer, a little bit of an advisory role. The LAA to me is really kind of like a terms of service that basically says if you don't follow these terms of service, there will be repercussions. It's not really a business partnership agreement at all. And there's a lot of valid points people have said about if you have your money on the line, you need to know who you're investing your money in. And I don't know necessarily who I'm I know Cam, and that's all I know. But yeah, I think honestly, I think that some owners don't necessarily see their role as being a part of a business. That can change, but I think that it is operated more on our level as a hobby.
Okay.
And that's about all I can say on that.
Last question, and this is strictly for the owner coaches. What is most important to you, being an owner or being a coach? And I'll start with Andy.
In the SFL from season 6 to season 18-ish, it was being a coach. For the last few seasons and for our switch to 2-4, it will be being an owner, and much lighter of an owner. I think with the transition that we've made over the last 6 seasons and the transition we're going to make in one, my interest in competing has gone down, from the standpoint that there's a lot that is now out of my hands. With 2K4, we are resetting everyone's knowledge of playbooks and what works and what doesn't. And I know some of the plays are the same, but the minute you change a couple of them, it changes the whole landscape. The other thing I don't like about that is that there was a testing group that was aware in advance that we would be switching, and they had more time to look at the playbooks than many of us others have. They got a head start, essentially, at resetting. There are many of us who, like Jermaine said, had to invest financially into this switch into a different game. It took me a couple weeks to scrounge up the money to buy a computer to work 2K4. And in that time, I lost more time to study playbooks. So I'm on a back foot, to be completely transparent. I'm on a back foot in catching up to the playbooks and the work that others had a head start on. And the other end of the spectrum is that I spent 10 calendar years of my life. Well, not 10, but 14 seasons or 7 calendar years of my life in all pro football, right? There's a lot of plays I know like the back of my hand. I scout these days, and there's times I don't even have to flip through the playbook. I just kind of, hey, that's a 50 tight end seam. That's a 90Z quick out. That's a 90XZ quick out. I know the difference between some of these plays off the top of my head. And that's all going to change. And transparently, I'm at a point in my life where I don't know if I have the time to dedicate that much time and effort to a brand new game. So for me, it is now become being a good owner. And if that means coaching because, I'm our best option, then I will do that. But if the opportunity comes along for someone else to coach and that is better for the team, I, at this point, the switch, have no problem stepping aside, whereas 5 to 6 seasons ago, you would be hard-pressed to get me out of simming and coaching in some regard, which is sad to me, but it is the reality.
Jermaine, what's more important to you, being an owner or being a coach?
Being an owner, because I'm done coaching. This is it for me. Well, it's the plan anyway. When I go to 2K4, I don't want to coach. I'm already making moves now. I'm already been on talk with the DMs to where we're bringing more people on the staff, because I really want to do is design uniforms, really, and just delegate tasks and just be a true owner. Sit in the press box, do the game, have a huddle with people, with my staff, and we talk things through. But for the most part, just to go study a whole new game again, I do not have the energy. I got things going on outside SFL. I need to handle business, and I've been putting that on hold for this, and it's just time now. And so that's where my passion is, just being a true owner.
Okay. Mark.
I'm kind of in the same boat with Andy. Since season 6, it's been about being a player and a coach for me, and competing with all my brothers here and all the like-minded people in this league that I came to enjoy. And the past couple of seasons has definitely switched over to being an owner. Just because of the direction we're moving and kind of the way the league has changed, you know what I'm saying? It's not that brotherhood it used to be back in season 9, 10, and 11. And it comes with growth, and you got to be able to adapt and move forward with it and make the same changes if you want to be successful. So definitely it's changed to just being an owner for me recently.
Okay. And Eddie.
I don't want to put value of one over another because I like both aspects of it. I like coaching. I like competing. I like putting my game plan versus yours to see who's going to come out on top. I like the way the players in our locker room, you know, consistently, you know, praise me for, you know, my efforts that I put in, the time I sacrifice and stuff like that. And an example of it is that, like when they gave me that, when you guys chipped in and bought me that trophy, no, there ain't no $2 trophy, man. And to see y'all, you know, pitch in and get that for me, that thing got some weight to it, bro. And, you know, it just kind of, just another way of you guys showing me how much you appreciate the sacrifice I make away from my family and my, you know, my other hobbies and interests and stuff like that, that you can't, words don't explain. It's a joy I can't explain, that appreciation I get. And, you know, I've always been a competitor all my life. I've been playing sports since I was 8, you know, and now that I'm too old to play, this is kind of my way of still being involved in it, so to speak. So I don't want to put one over the other, but I also enjoy being an owner because, you know, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like I say in the locker room all the time. I may be the owner, or now we may be the owner. But like I tell everybody in that room, this is our team. Without you guys, there is no me. By title, I'm the owner, but, you know, I enjoy piecing it all together, putting the front office in place, putting, you know, finding, you know, scouts, people to help me do stats, which I finally freaking got this season consistently. You know, it's all of that. The responsibility that I have, I enjoy it. It's stressful as hell a lot of times. You know, it's more time consuming than I ever thought it would be, but I enjoy those moments. I enjoy the pressure put upon me. This coming Monday night, for example, you know, both those two gonna come into play because I'm the owner of the Arizona Scorpions. So I'm gonna be out there in front of the world, and we gonna be the only teams on there. We going against the defending champions. That's a lot of pressure on the owner to go out there and represent our squad well. It's a lot of pressure on the coach to go out there and not get blown out, you know, and look bad or anything like that. But I enjoy it. I embrace it. So I don't want to put one above the other. They both important to me. Although I enjoy the coaching aspect of it more, but I also appreciate and value what being an owner means in this league. I think we're in the best simulation league in the world, playing my favorite sport. I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's like football is 1A and boxing is 1B. And I'm happy to be in the best sim league, currently playing on the best game that video games offer into this season. But you know, I'm glad. Like when I got the team, I said I'm one of, like right now, I'm one of 28 owners. in the whole world in the best league. I can't ask nothing better than that. I'm one of 28. Only 28 teams can say that, and I'm one of them, and I appreciate it so much.
Well, gentlemen, this has been a very interesting conversation. I think we've all learned a lot. I think we learned a lot from each other by taking the time out to listen to each other. And I think we got a lot off our chest, so to speak. To be able to have more dialogue and be able to grow as an ownership group and as a community, period. And I think the number one thing that you can do is talk it out. The number one thing you can do is try to talk and understand each other and where each other's coming from. You gain a lot more knowledge that way. So I want to thank all of you for taking the time out of your day for being with me this evening. I really, really appreciate that, guys. This of course will be out on Thursday. So this is going to be the show pretty much. So thank you again for your time. I do plan on having another one of these because I did actually have a total of 16 questions, but I was only able to get like 2 to 6. So if you guys want to be on the next one, just let me know and I got you. But y'all have a fantastic night, okay? All right.
Night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Night, Ashley.
Good night. That is it. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I really hope that you enjoyed the Fourth and Go interviews. I really hope that you enjoyed the show. Special thanks to everyone that participated. That was a lot of time. There's a lot of emotions. There was a lot of things said, and I'm hoping that would be the start of conversations towards healing. So, Diggy, do you have any good words for the people before we leave?
No. Just enjoy the games this week. That's
Indeed. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us again, and I cannot wait to bring you another podcast next week. But until then, y'all, stay safe, treat each other well. For Diggy, Striker, we're out.